Chapter 343. Fatso and Wolf King looked at each other with murderous intent in their eyes. First it was the Lu family, now it was the Dong family. Fatso said, "Boss, why don't we ask the Precious Treasure Pavilion to ban the Dong family?" "No. We don't have any evidence. The Precious Treasure Pavilion won't do that." Qin Feiyong shook his head. Fatso asked, "Then what should we do?" "Let's observe the situation first. We don't lack anything now. We don't need to go back to the city. We can still cultivate. Let's go. Let's go to the beast's nest and see if there are any other herbs. Then we'll cultivate in seclusion. After all, strength is the king." Qin Feiyong pondered for a moment and said with a faint smile, "Okay." Fatso and Wolf King nodded. No matter how chaotic the situation was, as long as Qin Feiyong was by their side, they were not afraid of anything. This was their unconditional trust in Qin Feiyong. In the city, the Dong family was in a mess. The head of the Dong family was furious when he saw Dongzheng's body. Dongzheng was an 8-star battle monarch at such a young age. He was extremely talented. The head of the Dong family had put in a lot of effort to nurture Dongzheng. Dongzheng was just a step away from breaking through to the combat emperor realm. Who would have thought that he would be killed at this moment? The pain of losing his son almost drove him crazy. He immediately led his men to the sacred temple to ask for Dongzheng. However, the higher-ups of the sacred temple did not know where Qin Feiyong was now. The news of Dongzheng's death also spread. Without a doubt, it caused a huge uproar in the sacred temple. He even dared to kill Dongzheng. Wasn't Qin Feiyong too lawless? Many people were shocked. However, there were also some who gloated. For example, people like Xiao Hong and Xiao Jian, who had a grudge against Qin Feiyong. Of course, there were also some who were angry. Dongzheng was one of them. Although the head of the Dong family had many descendants, and each of them fought openly and secretly, Dongcheng and Dongzheng were the closest. After learning of Dongzheng's death, he immediately threatened to kill Qin Feiyong. However, at this moment, as the parties involved, the two people and the wolf did not take it to heart. They lay on top of a mountain and scanned the area below. Below them was a valley that was about 1,000 feet wide. Within the valley, lush green weeds grew everywhere. Numerous verdant little trees swayed in the wind, presenting a scene of exuberant vitality. That ferocious beast was currently lying in the middle of the valley, its entire body filled with hostility. It was a pangolin that looked like a combination of a rat and a lizard. It was about 5 to 6 meters long. Its body was covered with a layer of yellow scales, and its head was like a sharp awl. However, other than the pangolin, the 2 humans and 1 wolf did not find a single fiery glass tree in the valley. There were no other medicinal herbs. "It seems that there are only 10 red flame glass trees in the valley," Fatso mumbled. "That man and woman are really ruthless. They didn't even leave a single stalk for it. No wonder it's so angry." Wolf King whispered, "But in the end, didn't it benefit us?" Fatso chuckled. "This is called God's plan is better than man's," Wolf King said with a sinister smile. Qin Feiyong rolled his eyes at them, lowered his head and scanned the valley. He whispered, "Don't you think it's strange?" "What's strange?" Fatso and Wolf King looked at him suspiciously. Qin Feiyong said, "No matter how abundant the red flame glass tree is, it's impossible for there to be 10 of them in the same place." After being said by Qin Feiyong, Fatso and Wolf King felt that it was really a bit unusual. "Let's go. Let's go down and talk to it," Qin Feiyong said. 2 humans and 1 wolf got up and jumped down, landing in the valley. Roar! As soon as the pangolin saw them, it suddenly got up and stared at them, its eyes flashing fiercely. "Don't get excited." Qin Feiyong hurriedly stretched out his hand and smiled. "We don't mean any harm. We just want to ask you a few questions." There was a trace of suspicion in the pangolin's eyes. Qin Feiyong said, "Fatso, give it a beast spirit pill." Fatso took out his chenkuan bag, searched for a moment, found a beast spirit pill, and threw it to the beast. The pangolin's eyes lit up, and it swallowed it into its stomach. "Don't think that by giving me a beast spirit pill, the previous debt can be written off." The next moment, a voice full of hostility sounded in the minds of the 2 humans and 1 wolf. "Ah, so arrogant." Wolf King was stunned and grinned. "It's easy for me to kill you if you don't want to try?" The beast's pupils shrank. Qin Feiyong stretched out his hand and smiled. Okay, let's chat peacefully. The pangolin looked at Wolf King, then turned to look at Qin Feiyong and asked, "What do you want to ask?" Qin Feiyong said, "I want to know, why do you have so many scarlet fireglass trees here?" This king went to other places to collect them. The pangolin did not hide anything and said truthfully. "Where?" Qin Feiyong asked. "Butterfly Valley." The pangolin said. "Butterfly Valley?" The two men and one wolf looked at each other, their eyes filled with doubt. The beast said, "Butterfly Valley is in the deepest part of the mountain range. There are many precious medicinal herbs inside, but with your strength, it is impossible for you to reach Butterfly Valley." Fatso asked, "Why?" The pangolin said, "Because there are many beast emperors on the way, and even war master realm overlords." Wolf King asked doubtfully, "Since it's so dangerous, then how did you get there?" "This king is lucky." There was a trace of pride in the pangolin's eyes. "Tsk." Wolf King disdainfully said, "Looks like I need to loosen your skin for you to tell me the truth." It sneered as it walked towards the beast. Only an idiot would believe that this beast relied on luck to reach the deepest part of the mountain range. There must be some shortcut. Seeing this, the pangolin was obviously a little flustered, and hurriedly said, "Wait, this king can tell you, but you have to agree to this king's condition first." Wolf King said in disdain, "Do you still have the qualifications to talk about conditions now? Don't be so arrogant." Qin Feiyong glared at it, then looked at the pangolin and said, "Tell me." "This king wants the transformation pill and the barrier-breaking pill. Furthermore, I want half of the medicinal herbs obtained from the Butterfly Valley." The pangolin said. "Half?" Fatso was startled and frowned. "You are a fierce beast, and you don't know how to refine pills. What do you need so many medicinal herbs for?" The pangolin said, "This king is willing, what do you care? If you don't agree, even if you kill this king won't bring you there." "Okay, I promise you." Qin Feiyong nodded. The pangolin said, "Now this king wants the transformation pill and the barrier-breaking pill." Wolf King said angrily, "Don't go too far. If we give it to you now, what if you don't bring us there?" The pangolin said, "A gentleman's word cannot be taken back. Only a ghost would believe you." Fatso rolled his eyes, his face full of disdain. A ferocious beast calling itself a gentleman? How shameless. "Then go ahead and kill me. I would rather die than submit." The pangolin closed its eyes, revealing a look of defiance. Qin Feiyong found it funny. This pangolin was also a top-quality beast. And could it be? He suddenly thought that the pangolin's sharp teeth and claws could not be invincible, but it could still dig holes in the ground. And it was very efficient. Could it be that it dug a dark hole underground that led to the Butterfly Valley? Thinking of this, Qin Feiyong turned to look at Wolf King and Fatso, saying, "Quick, look around and see if there are any caves." The pangolin's pupils constricted. Caves? The man and wolf were stunned, and with a trace of suspicion, they wandered around the valley. Buzz! Qin Feiyong was also about to look, but at this moment the image crystal made a sound. He frowned, walked to a corner, and took out the image crystal. An illusionary figure appeared. It was Lu Yun. Qin Feiyong asked with a smile, "Elder Lu, what's the matter? How can you still smile? Tell me, what have you done?" Lu Yun immediately shouted angrily. Qin Feiyong was stunned and said with an embarrassed smile, "Elder, this is not my fault." "Then whose fault is it?" "My fault. After the matter with the Lu family was over, I told you many times to stop. Now you've killed Dongjung too. Why do you like to cause trouble for me so much? Now the Dong family is forcing me to hand you over. Tell me, what should I do with them?" Lu Yun said angrily. "Elder, calm down. This really isn't my fault." Qin Feiyong immediately recounted the entire incident in detail. After hearing it, Lu Yun immediately frowned and pondered for a moment before asking, "Is it true? If this disciple lies, may I be struck by lightning." Qin Feiyong pointed to the sky and swore, "I just went out to practice my battle art, and I actually encountered such a thing? Sigh. I really don't know now. Should I say that you're lucky? Or should I say that you were born to be a jinx?" Lu Yun sighed helplessly and asked, "Do you have any evidence?" "No." Qin Feiyong shook his head. He didn't know how to calculate, so how would he know that this would happen? Then there's nothing I can do. Even if I believe you, others won't. And now, I can't speak up for you because others will say that I'm siding with you, Lu Yun said with a frown. After spending some time together, she more or less understood Qin Feiyang's character. He wasn't someone who would take the initiative to cause trouble. But the key was that there was no evidence. Now, the Dong family was insisting that Qin Feiyang was the one who stirred up trouble first. Even if she had 100 mouths, she wouldn't be able to clear Qin Feiyang's name. Qin Feiyang asked Elder, "What did the Dong family say about this matter to the public?" "They said that you were the one who killed them for their wealth. Furthermore, they deliberately spread the news. Now, almost everyone in the state capital knows about it. They're all shouting that they want to kill you to rid the world of evil. In short, the situation is very serious." Lu Yun wore a worried look and felt extremely vexed. "Humph. Then let them cause trouble. The more they cause trouble, the worse their outcome will be when the truth is revealed." Qin Feiyang snorted coldly as a cold glint flashed in his eyes. Lu Yun was taken aback as she asked, "Does that mean you already have a plan?" Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and said, "It's not difficult to resolve the current situation, but I have something to attend to." "I say, you brat, do you know how serious the situation is? What can be more important than your innocence?" Lu Yun was furious. She was about to die from anxiety. Chapter 344. Qin Feiyang was sweating all over the ground. This Lu Yun really had a bad temper. However, his impression of Lu Yun had undoubtedly risen to another level. Seeing Qin Feiyang remain silent, Lu Yun felt even more powerless. "Forget it. I'm too lazy to say anything. It's up to you. As for this period of time, I'll treat it as if you're dead." Finished. She immediately turned off the image crystal. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled bitterly. Next, Yan Nanshan. Ren Wushuang also sent a message to Qin Feiyang. At first it was a reproachful tone. But when they found out the truth, the two of them became furious. However, under Qin Feiyang's instructions, the two of them did not say anything and let the Dong family make a fuss. Not long after, Yin Yuanming and Huang Sen also sent messages to Qin Feiyang. However, Qin Feiyang didn't pay any attention to their messages. This was because he and Yin Yuanming only had a relationship of interest and were not reliable. Needless to say, Huang San was a completely fence-sitter, even more unreliable than Yin Yuanming. "Boss, there's a cave here." At this moment, Fatso's surprised voice sounded. On the ground in front of him there was a 7 to 8 meter wide hole. It was pitch black inside. Qin Feiyang was overjoyed. He kept the image crystal and ran towards Fatso. At the same time, the pangolin also ran over like a wisp of smoke. Moreover, he used his body to block the entrance of the cave. Wolf King ran over and shouted, "Get out of my way." The pangolin said, "If you don't give me the transformation pill and the barrier-breaking pill first, I won't let you go even if you beat me to death." Shameless? The two men and one wolf looked at each other. After all, it was a war chief realm beast. Could it have some backbone? Wolf King chuckled. "Do you really think that I don't dare to kill you?" The pangolin snorted coldly. "If you dare to make a move, this king will collapse this cave and make you all watch helplessly. Brother has such a bad temper. See if I don't beat you to death today." Wolf King flew into a rage. Boom! Ferocious might erupted. In an instant, it entered battle mode and turned into a muscular wolf. The pangolin's pupils contracted as he roared. "What are you doing? Bullying the weak is not the style of a gentleman." "Do I look like a gentleman to you?" Wolf King was both angry and amused at the same time. This pangolin was too outrageous. It rolled its eyes and chuckled. "Little bug, you look fun. Why don't you be my little brother?" "Tis." The pangolin's eyes were filled with disdain. "Just look at him and he wants to be its big brother? What a dream." "Interesting." Wolf King became excited and said, "Little Qinzi, give it a transformation pill and a barrier-breaking pill." "Are you sure?" Qin Feiyang asked. Wolf King nodded as a sinister smile flashed across his eyes. Qin Feiyang shook his head and laughed. He said to Fatso, "Give me the herbs." After Fatso sorted out the 2 sets of herbs, Qin Feiyang entered the ancient castle and refined them in less than 100 breaths. After taking the transformation pill and the barrier-breaking pill, the pangolin began to grow bigger and smaller. It was having a lot of fun. Fatso said, "Can you lead the way now?" "I don't need to lead the way. Enter the cave and keep walking down. You'll arrive in about 10 days or half a month. I still have something to do, so I'll leave first." Halfway through its words, the pangolin turned into the size of a palm and slipped away. What a joke. That ruffian wolf had been eyeing them covetously. If it followed, it would definitely not have a good time. "Hey, you want to run?" Wolf King grinned, turned into the size of a palm, and jumped onto Fatso's shoulder. Fatso immediately chased after it. The pangolin was a 4-star battle monarch. Although Fatso was a 2-star battle monarch, he had mastered a high-grade auxiliary martial technique. His speed was comparable to a 5-star battle monarch. Before the pangolin could escape out of the valley, he took the lead and stood in front of the pangolin. Fatso said with a sneaky smile, "Little guy, where do you want to go?" The pangolin said angrily, "I've already told you. What else do you want?" Wolf King said, "Nothing, I just want you to go with me." The pangolin shook its head and said, "I'm not going. You're asking for a beating." The Wolf King leaped down, instantly activating Berserk Rage and entering combat mode. The pangolin said angrily, "You're being unreasonable." "Hey!" Wolf King opened his mouth and pounced on the pangolin, beating it up. Fatso, who was at the side, was laughing so hard that his face was cramping. This pangolin was too stupid. It actually tried to reason with this ruffian wolf? Did it make sense? There was no reason to reason with it. "Ouch! Be gentler, it hurts." "Lord Wolf, stop hitting it." "I'll go, okay." The pangolin also understood that if he didn't go today, he would probably be beaten to death. "Why didn't you do this earlier? Why did you have to force me to be rough?" "Actually, I'm also a very well-mannered and reasonable wolf," Wolf King chuckled. The pangolin was stunned. He sized up Wolf King for a while and shook his head. "I really can't tell. What did you say?" Wolf King stared at it with bad intentions. "Nothing, nothing. I'm saying, Brother Wolf, you're so handsome. You're simply my idol. I admire you so much." The pangolin hurriedly shook his head and smiled obsequiously. Wolf King said proudly, "That's more like it. Let's go, lead the way." "Oh heavens, oh earth. Why am I so unlucky to meet such a shameless narcissist?" The pangolin wailed in his heart as he reluctantly walked toward the entrance of the cave. "Don't dawdle, hurry up." The Wolf King kicked the pangolin beast and sent it flying. With a wail, it fell into the cave. "Ruffian wolf, I'll fuck you." The pangolin's angry roar came from the cave. "Oh, you dare to scold me?" Wolf King rushed into the cave angrily. A mournful wail sounded again. "This pangolin is going to suffer in the future." Fatso walked to the entrance of the cave and looked inside sympathetically. Qin Feiyong shook his head and laughed, then jumped into the cave. Fatso also jumped in. After a dozen breaths, the two landed at the bottom of the cave. Fatso waved his hand, and a cluster of flame battle chi appeared, illuminating all directions. In front of him there was a secret passage that led to the depths. The size of the secret passage was about the same as the pangolin's body. Qin Feiyong said, "Okay, stop fooling around." Wolf King retracted his claws this time, kicked the pangolin and shouted, "Lead the way." The pangolin's body was bruised, and its scales were broken. There was also a big bump on his head, and the horns on his head were prominent. It got up in a sorry state, looked at Wolf King bitterly, and ran forward with a stomach full of grievances. Two people and one wolf followed closely behind. On the way, the pangolin's days felt like years. If the Wolf King didn't agree with him, he would run up and beat him up. In short, it was miserable. Half a month later, at the end of the secret passage, a faint light finally appeared. As they got closer, the light became stronger. That was the exit of the secret passage. The pangolin stopped and looked at Wolf King pitifully, saying, "Lord Wolf, the exit is in front. Can you let me go now?" Wolf King said, "You're my underling, so you naturally have to follow me wherever I go." The pangolin said angrily, "When did I admit that I'm your underling? You have quite a temper." Wolf King chuckled and went up to beat it up again. He snorted coldly, "As long as you don't admit it, I'll beat you until you admit it. How can there be such an unreasonable wolf?" The pangolin cried out. It's easy to get on the boat, but difficult to get off. Fatso shook his head and sighed. He retracted his battle chi and climbed up. When he came to the exit and saw the scenery outside, he was stunned. Outside was a huge canyon. In the canyon, countless flowers were blooming, competing to be beautiful, forming a vast sea of flowers. Amidst the flowers and in the void, colorful butterflies flapped their beautiful wings and danced gracefully. Furthermore, there was a clear stream that meandered and added a lot of color to the canyon. Qin Feiyong walked to Fatso's side and was also dumbfounded by this scene. This place was simply a paradise. Fatso suddenly pointed to a certain place and said excitedly, "Boss, look, there's a scarlet glass tree over there." Qin Feiyong looked over. Sure enough, he saw a small fiery red tree among the flowers. There are a few 9 suns flowers over there. And over here, there seem to be a few fire ginseng. Look to the left, that's the longevity fruit. Fatso exclaimed continuously. There were all kinds of medicinal herbs growing in the flowering shrubs. Not only were there many of them, but each of them was extremely rare. Dazzled the two of them, Qin Feiyong frowned. Strange, why are there so many medicinal herbs here? Wolf King shouted, "Pangolin, I'm asking you a question, didn't you hear me? I don't know why there are so many medicinal herbs either." The pangolin said absent-mindedly. There was only one thought in its mind. How could it escape? If it continued to be destroyed by Ruffian Wolf, it would collapse sooner or later. Qin Feiyong asked, "Is there anyone in the canyon?" The pangolin shook its head and said, "The canyon is too big. I haven't looked for it, so I don't know." Fatso said, "Then how did you find the Butterfly Valley?" "Of course it's luck. I'm very lucky. I can find treasures everywhere." The pangolin said proudly, "Will you die if you don't brag?" Fatso rolled its eyes. The pangolin suddenly rolled its eyes and said with a flattering smile, "Why don't I go down and scout the situation for you?" Wolf King said disdainfully, "Do I look like an idiot to you? When you go down, I'm afraid you'll immediately dig a hole and escape." The pangolin smiled embarrassedly. That was indeed what it thought. "But you've reminded me." Wolf King chuckled and looked at Qin Feiyong. "Little Qin Zi, I'll go down with the pangolin and take some medicinal herbs." "Okay, be careful." Qin Feiyong nodded and reminded. Wolf King and the pangolin could both shrink and hide in the flowers. Even if there were people in the Butterfly Valley, they might not be able to find them. "You'd better not play any tricks or I'll cripple you." The Wolf King glared at the pangolin threateningly, then led the pangolin downward stealthily. Qin Feiyong craned his neck and looked around. At this moment they were at a mountain peak about 100 feet high, and the entrance of the cave was halfway up the mountain. "Boss, why don't we lie on the top?" Fatso suggested. Qin Feiyong nodded. If they stood high they could see further. Chapter 345. Dozens of breaths later. The two climbed to the top of the mountain and stood on a huge rock, overlooking the canyon. The whole picture of the canyon could be seen at a glance. The canyon was beyond their imagination, with a radius of more than 10 miles. A rolling mountain range surrounded the canyon without any entrance or exit. It was completely a closed and isolated place. There were 4 different places in the canyon: sea of flowers, lake, the lawn was green and lush, jungle. However, these 4 regions were separated by the stream, forming an independent region. Strange, the layout here is obviously not natural, but why is there no sign of human habitation? Qin Feiyong whispered. "Roar!" This time, suddenly a loud beast roar sounded behind them. Qin Feiyong and Fatso were shocked and hurriedly looked back, only to see a ferocious beast floating above the jungle. Its body was as huge as a mountain, and its millstone-sized eyes were emitting a shocking murderous light. That beast was staring at them. The two trembled physically and mentally, and their faces turned pale. The ferocious aura emitted by this beast was even stronger than Wang Hong, and it was even comparable to the mansion master. This was the beast in the deepest part of the mountain range? It was too terrifying. If it weren't for the mountain pangolin that opened up a shortcut, they wouldn't have been able to reach the Butterfly Valley. But gradually, Qin Feiyong and Fatso had a trace of doubt on their faces. That beast only saw them and didn't approach them. Qin Feiyong turned his head to look at the Butterfly Valley and then looked at the beast, with a thoughtful look in his eyes. Not good. Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something, and his face changed drastically, shouting, "Fatso, quickly send a message to the white-eyed wolf, tell them to come back immediately." "What's wrong?" Fatso was surprised. "It's not that this beast doesn't want to approach, but it doesn't dare to. It's afraid of the Butterfly Valley. The Butterfly Valley is definitely not as simple as it looks on the surface," Qin Feiyong said in a deep voice. Hearing this, Fatso immediately took out the image crystal and sent a message to Wolf King. "Ah!" But at this time, two horrified screams came from the sea of flowers below. It was the voices of Wolf King and the pangolin. Qin Feiyong and Shermu's complexion suddenly changed. They hurriedly looked in the direction of the screams. Immediately, the two of them were in the air above the sea of flowers when they saw a white figure rushing towards the forest. It was a human figure. However, his speed was too fast. In almost an instant, he disappeared into the forest, so much so that Qin Feiyong and Fatso did not see his true appearance. This place is indeed not simple. "Boss, Fat Lord is going to chase after them first. Hurry up and catch up," Fatso shouted. With a poochie sound, the clothes on his back were torn apart, and two black wings appeared. Whoosh! Spreading his wings, he turned into a stream of light and shot toward the forest. Qin Feiyong jumped down and dashed into the sea of flowers like a bolt of lightning. He then ran madly, ignoring the medicinal herbs around him. Several hundred breaths passed. He crossed the stream in one step and landed in front of the forest. And Fatso had already taken a step ahead of him and entered the forest. Ah! Just as he was about to enter the forest, Fatso's screams also sounded, as if he had encountered a terrifying person, with a sense of panic that could not be dispersed. "Damn it!" Qin Feiyong cursed and rushed into the forest without hesitation, running towards the place where the sound came from. A moment later, a small, quaint wooden building suddenly entered his line of sight. The small wooden building had a total of 2 floors, and was located in the middle of the forest. And on the left side of the small wooden building, there was a beautiful flower garden. All kinds of flowers were budding, beautiful purple and red. However, when he looked to the right, Qin Feiyong's eyes widened, full of disbelief. It was actually a vegetable garden. The lush green vegetables were like young girls, exuding youthful vitality. What kind of place is this? Qin Feiyong frowned and looked up at the small wooden building. The door of the small wooden building was wide open. Looking from the outside, it seemed a little dark inside. The surroundings were also silent. Qin Feiyong's heart became inexplicably nervous. After calming himself down, Qin Feiyong cupped his hands and said, "I'm Qin Feiyong. I've barged into Butterfly Valley rashly. If I've offended you in any way, please forgive me." However, there was no response. Qin Feiyong continued, "Senior, please be magnanimous and let go of my friends." However, there was still no response. The dead silence made one's hair stand on end. Qin Feiyong swallowed his saliva and walked towards the small wooden building. However, he suddenly stopped after taking 2 steps. His expression became incomparably nervous. In fact, beads of sweat the size of beans appeared on his forehead. He felt as if there was someone behind him. However, for some reason, he who had always been fearless, did not dare to turn back at this moment. "Who is it?" he roared and abruptly turned his head to look. However, there was no one behind him apart from the forest. What's going on? Could it be an illusion? But I clearly heard the sound of breathing behind me. Qin Feiyong looked ahead in bewilderment. However, he could not find a trace of anyone even after searching every corner. Strange. He frowned and turned his head to look at the small wooden building again. However, just as he turned his head, as if he had seen a ghost, his pupils suddenly constricted, and he retreated abruptly. There was a person standing in front of him. It was an old woman in white. She was as thin as a match and her hair was disheveled. Her eyes were deeply sunken. At first glance, she looked like a ghost from hell. It was extremely terrifying. What was even more terrifying was that the right side of her face was full of scars. She looked extremely ugly. In such an environment and atmosphere, anyone who encountered such a person would be frightened no matter who it was. However, Qin Feiyong quickly calmed down. She was breathing and had a heartbeat, which meant that she was not a ghost. As long as she was not a ghost, there was nothing to be afraid of. Qin Feiyong cupped his hands and said, "Greetings, senior." The old woman did not speak and just stared at him. "It's not easy to communicate." Qin Feiyong mumbled and continued, "I trespassed into Butterfly Valley and disturbed you, senior. Please forgive me." The old woman finally spoke and asked, "You're a disciple of the Holy Sanctum?" Qin Feiyong nodded. Swoosh! The old woman's eyes flashed and she took a step forward. Her old hand reached out like a sharp claw towards Qin Feiyong. "Senior, let's talk things over." Qin Feiyong's expression changed and he hurriedly retreated. However, his speed could not compare to the old woman's. The old woman grabbed his clothes and tugged hard. With a rip, Qin Feiyong's clothes were torn apart. Qin Feiyong was stunned. He covered his upper body with both hands and asked in surprise, "Senior, what are you trying to do?" Could he have encountered a perverted old woman? The old woman shouted, "Take your hands off." "I don't want to." Qin Feiyong shook his head and said with a bitter face, "I already have a sweetheart. Please respect yourself, senior." The old woman was obviously stunned. Her ugly face suddenly showed a fierce look, and she said, "Take your hands off again and I'll kill you. It's over. This old woman is really a pervert. My pure body." Qin Feiyong looked up at the sky and cried out in grief. His arms hung down weakly, revealing his strong body. And he had an 8-pack. Seeing Qin Feiyong's reaction, the old woman could not help but frown. However, she did not say anything and directly looked at the potential mark on Qin Feiyong's chest. Her old eyes were shining. Ugh! Qin Feiyong was stunned. He thought that the old woman was an old pervert. It turned out that she just wanted to see his potential mark. This was awkward. A moment later, the old woman's gaze turned and looked at the concentric knot. She asked, "What is this heart-shaped mark?" "This." Qin Feiyong hesitated for a moment and said, "This is a birthmark. I was born with it." The old woman said, "Is there such a birthmark in the world? Kid, are you lying to me?" Qin Feiyong smiled bitterly and said, "How would I dare to lie to senior? This is indeed a birthmark." The old woman did not ask any more questions. She believed him. Qin Feiyong said, "Senior, can I put on my clothes?" The old woman nodded. Qin Feiyong hurriedly took out a piece of clothing and quickly put it on. He asked, "Senior, I wonder what happened to my 3 friends." "Dead," the old woman said expressionlessly. "What?" Qin Feiyong's expression changed. The old woman laughed sinisterly. "Trespassing into the Butterfly Valley, whether it's a human or a beast, they all have to die." "Dead," Qin Feiyong murmured. His face was full of disbelief. Ling Yunfei and the others were dead. Wolf King and the others were also dead now. Why? He gradually clenched his hands and shouted at the old woman, "You killed them for such a small matter. Do you still have any humanity? You have to die too." The old woman's eyes turned cold. "You damn old witch, I'm going to kill you." Qin Feiyong roared, took out Chang Shui, and rushed toward the old woman without fear. When the old woman saw Chang Shui, a strange light flashed in her eyes. Obviously, she could see that Chang Shui was not ordinary. She tilted her body slightly and calmly dodged. At the same time, she stretched out her arm and slapped the back of Qin Feiyong's head with her palm like a blade. Feeling the arrival of danger, Qin Feiyong suddenly came back to his senses. His rationality that was blinded by anger quickly calmed down. Whoosh! Seeing that the old woman's palm was about to hit him, Qin Feiyong suddenly disappeared without a trace. The old woman's arm paused, and she looked around in surprise. But soon, her ugly face showed a look of realization, and she said, "Come out quickly. I know you are hiding in that castle." "You even know this? How does she know so much about me?" "In the castle." Qin Feiyong's face was full of surprise and doubt. Lu Hong had already been awakened, and her face was full of disbelief. "If you don't come out, I will really kill your 3 friends." The old woman's voice came in. Qin Feiyong and Lu Hong looked at each other, and a trace of surprise crept up in their eyes at the same time. "You continue to cultivate," Qin Feiyong told Lu Hong, and then appeared in front of the old woman in a flash, and asked, "Where are they?" The old woman said, "You want to see them so much?" Qin Feiyong nodded. "Well, come with me." After the old woman said that, she walked toward the small wooden building. Qin Feiyang hesitated for a moment, but finally chose to follow. As soon as he entered the small wooden building, Qin Feiyang saw Fatso, Wolf King, and the pangolin lying unconscious on the ground. What did you do to them? Qin Feiyang was shocked and angry, and hurriedly ran up to check on their condition. Don't worry, they just fainted, nothing serious. But it is easy to come in here, but difficult to get out. It's almost impossible for you to leave the Butterfly Valley alive, the old man said. Chapter 346. Qin Feiyang checked carefully and confirmed that Fatso and the others were indeed only unconscious. He heaved a sigh of relief and looked up at the old woman, asking, "What do I have to do for you to let us go?" With this old witch's strength, it would be easy for her to kill them. But she didn't kill them now. Therefore, there must be an ulterior motive. You are a very smart young man. Go to a place and help me find something, the old woman said. Where? What is it? Qin Feiyang asked. There is a 6th-grade alchemy fire in the Forgotten Land called the Heavenly Thunder Flame. Go and help me get it, the old woman said, her eyes full of desire. 6th-grade alchemy fire. Qin Feiyang's eyes trembled. 6th-grade alchemy fire was extremely rare. Even in the imperial capital, there was only one. He didn't expect that the spiritual state would have it. But where was this forgotten land? He knew the territory of the Great Qin Empire like the back of his hand, but why had he never heard of it? Qin Feiyang said, Senior, can you tell me what kind of place the Forgotten Land is? The old woman said, The Forgotten Land is an ancient site that I discovered in my early years. Ancient site? Qin Feiyang was surprised. At this moment, the old woman flicked her finger and a black stream of light rushed into Qin Feiyang's mouth like lightning. That moment, Qin Feiyang felt as if something had drilled into his body. What did you do to me? His expression changed and he hurriedly sank his mind into his body. He saw a wisp of black air flowing in his body, heading straight for his heart. He hurriedly mobilized his battle aura and pounced towards the black air flow. However, whether it was the purple gold dragon aura, the flame battle aura, or the red sword aura, they couldn't shatter the black airflow. They couldn't force the black air flow out of his body either. This is the black poison. It is a poison that I developed after 3 years of using 99 kinds of poisons and venoms. Just 1 drop is enough to poison a warlord to death. It will fuse with your heart and can end your life at any time. Don't even think about using the detoxification pill because it's useless. Only this old one's special antidote can completely eradicate the black fiend poison, the old woman said. Qin Feiyang's face turned pale. This old witch is too vicious. The old woman then took out a jade bottle, which was filled with a transparent liquid that was about half full. This is not an antidote, but it can stop the poison from acting up. Take 1 drop every month. Can save your life. When you come out of the Forgotten Land, give me the heavenly lightning flame and I will give you the antidote. After saying that, the old woman threw the jade bottle to Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang grabbed it and glared at her angrily. This old witch was too treacherous. The old woman replied, If I were you, I would immediately take a drop. Before he finished speaking, Qin Feiyang felt a strong tearing sensation in his heart. It was as if his heart was being torn apart. He hurriedly poured out a drop of transparent liquid and swallowed it. The effect was immediate. The pain in his heart immediately disappeared. When the black fiend poison doesn't act up, everything is normal, so don't worry, it will affect your cultivation. But there are only 60 drops in the jade bottle. In other words, you have 5 years. If you don't come out of the Forgotten Land after 5 years, then you can only pray for yourself, the old woman said. Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice, You are so strong, why don't you go in yourself? Because there is a restriction at the entrance. Only those below the 9-star fighting king can enter. According to the old woman, after discovering that there was a restriction at the entrance, she had been waiting for a young man with the ability to enter the Butterfly Valley. After all, the journey from the continent city to the Butterfly Valley was full of danger. Those who had the ability to come to the Butterfly Valley must have some means. Then the chances of entering the Forgotten Land and obtaining the heavenly lightning flame would be greater. After hearing these words, Qin Feiyang was stunned and couldn't come back to his senses for a long time. After a while, he smiled bitterly and said, "Senior, you misunderstood. This junior doesn't have such ability." That moment, he briefly explained the encounter with the pangolin beast and the shortcut. This old woman knows all this. The pangolin beast came to steal medicinal herbs several times. This old woman also saw it. However, although you took a shortcut, it also proves that you are excellent in all aspects, the old woman said, with a touch of admiration in her eyes. If it were someone else this time, they wouldn't have thought of asking the pangolin beast about the origin of the 10 red fireglass trees. Nor would they have thought that there was a shortcut to the Butterfly Valley. This showed that the young man in front of her was very quick-witted. Moreover, this man clearly knew that the Butterfly Valley was located in the deepest part of the mountain range, and that there was a great risk, but he still dared to come. This showed that he was also very courageous. What she needed was a young man like this. Qin Feiyang said powerlessly, "So, I can't hide today? If you die, you can hide. Do you want to die or live? Of course, this old woman won't let you run for nothing. When you come back, all the medicinal herbs in the Butterfly Valley will be yours. Moreover, this old woman will also give you a few perfect battle arts." The old woman tempted. "Really?" Qin Feiyang asked. "This old woman never lies, but you have no choice now. Take them and follow this old woman." The old woman stomped on the ground, and the ground beside her moved to both sides, revealing a dark passage. The old woman stepped in. Could it be that the entrance to the Forgotten Land is below? Qin Feiyang was surprised. He sent Fatso, Wolf King, and the pangolin beast to the castle and quickly followed. As the old woman said, he had no choice. Frankly speaking, he also wanted to go to the Forgotten Land to have a look. After all, the 6th grade alchemy fire was too tempting. If he could get his hands on it, he might be able to refine supreme grade pills with 3, 4, or even 5 pill veins. This would be of great help to him when he returned to the imperial capital in the future. The secret passage slanted downward. After walking for half an hour, Qin Feiyang saw an ancient stone door. It was estimated that it had already gone deep into the center of the ground. The old woman waved her hand, and her battle chi surged and merged into the stone door. With a clang, the stone door quickly opened. A majestic aura surged out like a tide. Qin Feiyang's pupils contracted. This aura was too shocking. What was behind the stone door? The old woman was not surprised at all. Her expression was as usual as she strode in. This was a stone room about 12 meters in size, and in the center there was an ancient altar. The altar was blood-red, as if it had been soaked in blood, exuding a mysterious aura. That majestic aura came from this altar. Qin Feiyang walked in and looked at the altar with a strange light in his eyes. This was the first time he saw this thing. The old woman looked at the altar, and an inexplicable light appeared in her eyes. Then, she turned to look at Qin Feiyang, and the light in her eyes also disappeared. "If you have any last wishes, tell this old woman now. 5 years later, if you don't come out, this old woman will help you complete it," the old woman said. Qin Feiyang's face twitched. Was there such a curse? After a while, Qin Feiyang nodded and said, "This junior does have a last wish, but I don't know if senior can do it." The old woman said proudly, "In this land, there is nothing this old woman can't do." "So awesome." Qin Feiyang was stunned and said, "If this junior unfortunately dies, then please help this junior destroy the great Qin Empire." And the old woman's body trembled, and a shocking cold light burst out of her eyes, and said, "Are you playing with this old woman? Senior, you said that there is nothing you can't do. How can you blame me?" Qin Feiyang looked innocent. The old woman frowned and said with a black face, "Except for this, anything is fine. Forget it then. As for the other matters, I can do it myself." "But this junior wants to say goodbye to 2 people," Qin Feiyang said. "No, from now on, you are not allowed to contact anyone." The old woman decisively refused. Her index finger pointed at the altar, and a stream of battle chi gushed out from her fingertip, continuously pouring into the altar. Suddenly, the altar bloomed with a bloody light. As more battle chi poured in, the bloody light became more and more dazzling. Until the end, the entire altar was shining. And on the old woman's forehead, There were beads of sweat. Obviously, it was not an easy task to revive the altar. When the altar was completely revived, the old woman waved her hand without saying a word, and a vast force rushed toward Qin Feiyong. Immediately, Qin Feiyong uncontrollably rose into the air and landed on the altar. Wait, senior, this junior still has a question to ask, Qin Feiyong hurriedly said. But before he could finish his sentence, he felt as if his body was about to be torn apart, and an indescribable pain came from it. Even with his temperament, he couldn't help but howl. And at the same time his eyes were dark and he couldn't see anything. He could only feel that his body was moving quickly. At this moment, every breath was endless suffering and pain for Qin Feiyong. He didn't know how long had passed. With a thud, he felt as if he had fallen into water, and a bone-chilling cold current swept over. In an instant, he woke up and opened his eyes. What entered his sight was clear water. Where is this? Qin Feiyong was surprised. The water was very cold, but it was still within the range that he could bear. He hurriedly swam upward. Suddenly, he felt that there was a crisis approaching quickly. He looked down and immediately saw 3 giant pythons. The 3 giant pythons were more than 10 meters long, and their bodies were as thick as buckets. Their long and narrow eyes revealed a cold light, and on their bodies there was a layer of snow-white scales. What kind of giant python is this? Why have I never seen it before? Qin Feiyong's eyes widened, and his battle chi surged. Like an arrow, he shot toward the surface of the water. The 3 giant pythons chased after him. Moreover, their speed was several times faster than Qin Feiyong's. War Emperor-level beast. Qin Feiyong was shocked. Wasn't it too unlucky to encounter such a terrifying cold-blooded creature the moment he came here? He didn't hesitate to hide in the castle. Fatso, Wolf King, and the pangolin had all awakened. Why are you in such a sorry state? As soon as Qin Feiyong came in, Fatso, Wolf King, and Lu Hong surrounded him, their faces full of surprise. Chapter 347. We have already entered the Forgotten Land. Our luck is also very bad, encountering a War Emperor realm beast as soon as we arrived. Qin Feiyong said helplessly. If they continued to hide in the castle would continue to sink. They didn't know where they were now. Was it a sea, a river, or a lake? If it was a river or a lake, then it wouldn't be a big problem. After all, it wouldn't be too deep. But if it was a sea, then it would be a big problem, because no one knew how deep the sea would be. After hearing this, Fatso was very worried. He frowned and said, "Who exactly is that old witch?" "Who knows?" Wolf King pursed his lips. Lu Hong asked, "Do you guys feel that it's very strange?" "It is indeed very strange." She said that the entrance to the Forgotten Land is restricted. Only those below the 9-star War Emperor realm can enter. This proves that she has never been to the Forgotten Land. But how did she know that there was a heavenly thunder flame here? Qin Feiyong frowned. This was the question he wanted to ask the old woman before entering the Forgotten Land. Unfortunately, the old woman didn't give him the chance to ask. Also, why did the old woman know so much about him? As soon as she saw him, she took off his clothes. Obviously, she already knew that he had opened the door of potential. However, other than the people around him in the entire spiritual state, only Yan Nanshan, Wei Zhongyang, Ren Wushuang, and the mansion master knew about the opening of the door of potential. How did the old woman know? Too many doubts filled Qin Feiyong's heart. He had a very real intuition that this matter was not as simple as it seemed on the surface. Fatso and Lu Hong also frowned. Fatso said, "Someone must have leaked the news. Send a message and ask them." Qin Feiyong nodded, took out the image crystal, and poured his battle aura into it. Suddenly, his eyes were filled with surprise. "What's wrong?" Fatso and Wolf King couldn't help but look at him in surprise. Qin Feiyong frowned and asked, "Why can't I send a message?" It must be because your image crystal is not giving you face. Look at Fat Lord." As Fatso teased him, he took out an image crystal and sent a message to Yan Nanshan. But in the next moment, his eyes widened and his face was filled with bewilderment. "Damn it, Fatso, your imaging crystal doesn't seem to have given you any face, does it?" Lu Hong teased. Fatso smiled embarrassedly. Lu Hong also took out the image crystal and tried, but she was unable to send a message. Qin Feiyang said, "Seems like it's related to the Forgotten Land. Now that we can't contact the outside world, we can only rely on ourselves for everything." "Little Qinzi, what should we do with it?" Wolf King pointed at the pangolin. Qin Feiyang said, "I thought it didn't want to follow us? Then let's do as he wishes." The pangolin hurriedly said, "Don't, I'm not familiar with this place. How do you want me to live?" Wolf King said, "It's none of our business. Hurry up and get lost." "Brother Wolf, don't be like this. After all, we lived and died together in the Butterfly Valley. You can't be so heartless." The pangolin leaned forward and smiled obsequiously. Wolf King said disdainfully, "Are we close to you? Don't try to curry favor here." The pangolin hesitated for a moment and said angrily, "Don't you just want me to be your underling? Then are you going to do it or not?" Wolf King looked at it proudly, with a look that said, "I'm going to eat you up." The pangolin was very aggrieved and roared, "You're too despicable. A gentleman should convince others with virtue, not take the opportunity to threaten others." Qin Feiyang and the other two looked at each other. This pangolin really made them speechless. He was not a good person, but he kept saying that he was a gentleman all day long. However, in Wolf King's dictionary, the words "convince others with virtue" did not seem to exist. Wolf King chuckled and said, "I only know how to use violence to curb violence. Do you want me to demonstrate it to you?" The pangolin's pupils constricted and he hurriedly said, Okay. As long as you don't chase me away, I'll agree to it." "TSK. And here I thought you had some backbone." Wolf King was disdainful. "Humph, when we leave the Forgotten Land, I'll immediately leave." The pangolin also muttered in his heart. It seemed that they all had their own plans. Qin Feiyang shook his head and laughed. He looked at Lu Hong and said, "Give me a water avoidance pearl and a cold avoidance pearl." Lu Hong nodded, took out 2 pearls the size of pellets, and handed them to Qin Feiyang. What? They actually have water avoidance pearls and cold avoidance pearls." The pangolin's eyes widened in anger. These 2 little things were both rare treasures that were priceless. Putting the water avoidance pearl and cold avoidance pearl in his arms, Qin Feiyang took out the Chong Shui and told Lu Hong, "Don't worry about anything, just focus on cultivation." After that, he flashed and left the castle. The next moment, he appeared in the water. The cold avoidance pearl and the water avoidance pearl immediately played their role, and he couldn't feel the cold at all. Qin Feiyang glanced around, feeling both happy and worried. This was already the bottom. It was enough to see that the place he was now in was not a vast ocean. The most likely place was a lake, because the river water was rarely so clear. This was good news, but at the same time there was also bad news. Within his field of vision, he had already discovered no less than 10 aquatic beasts. Their auras were not weak. Moreover, the 3 pythons from before were also hovering above his head. "How can I go up?" Qin Feiyang frowned. Whoosh! Splash! The 3 pythons found him again, dragging their long bodies, swooping down toward Qin Feiyang. "Got it." Qin Feiyang's eyes lit up, and he disappeared in an instant. Disappeared again? The 3 pythons flew into a rage, and their huge tails swept wildly in the water. After a while, only then did they disperse with eyes full of unwillingness. Soon after, Qin Feiyang and Fatso appeared at the same time. "Boss, you're killing Fat Lord." Seeing the water beasts around, Fatso's face couldn't help but turn pale, and he cried out in horror. Qin Feiyang said with a sinister smile, "If you don't want to be eaten by them, hurry up and rush up." Fatso quivered and immediately summoned a pair of black wings. His battle chi surged, wrapping Qin Feiyang and rushing up. In the Butterfly Valley, Qin Feiyang found that Fatso's speed was several times faster with the help of his wings. As long as he caught them off guard, he might be able to rush out. Very soon, the 2 of them were discovered by the water beasts, and they immediately swarmed over excitedly, including the 3 pythons. "Damn it, how can we escape?" Fatso exclaimed, because not only below and around, there were also water beasts swooping down from above. Qin Feiyang said angrily, "When can you change your timid character?" Fat Lord was born like this. If you want to blame someone, blame my parents, Fatso said, as if a dead pig was not afraid of boiling water. Qin Feiyong's face twitched and he said disdainfully, if your parents hear this, they will definitely jump out of their coffins and give you a few slaps. Don't scare me, Fat Lord is timid. Stop bullshitting, let's go to the castle. Look, there are so many water beasts we can't rush out at all. Let's wait until we break through to the War Emperor, Fatso said anxiously. Cut the crap, Qin Feiyong bellowed, sweeping his gaze across the water beasts above. His gaze suddenly locked onto a vicious crocodile. Qin Feiyong said, its strength hasn't reached the War Emperor, we'll break out from there. All right, to be able to die together with the son of the Emperor, Fat Lord isn't at a loss. Charge! Fatso steeled his heart and rushed towards the crocodile as if he was facing death. If you want to die, die by yourself. Don't drag me along. Qin Feiyong rolled his eyes at him. With Fatso's current speed, it was almost instantaneous. Qin Feiyong did not hesitate to strike out with his palm. In the center of his palm, a golden light appeared. Return word technique activated. He slapped the crocodile's fangs with his palm. The crocodile let out a wail and its fangs shattered on the spot. His huge body was sent flying by the slap. Charge! Fatso also paused for a moment. But as soon as he saw the group of water beasts, he roared and rushed up without holding back. Not to mention there were benefits to being timid. Because he was afraid of death, he would try his best to escape at the critical moment. After a few breaths, Fatso finally rushed out of the water with Qin Feiyong. Wow, so beautiful! As soon as they rushed out of the water, the two of them were stunned. What entered their sight was an endless stretch of mountains and rivers. In the sky, snow was falling. Snowflakes covered the mountains and rivers, presenting a snow-white world. But it was also cold. The two of them couldn't help but shiver. Dong! A series of sounds came from below. The two of them looked down and their expressions changed drastically. Below there was indeed a very large lake, at least tens of thousands of feet long. On the surface of the lake, wisps of cold air were rising. Those water beasts were all swarming out at this moment, setting off huge waves that were dozens of meters high. The momentum was shocking. Run! Fatso quivered and frantically flapped his wings, flying towards the glacier outside the lake with Qin Feiyong. The water beasts that could fly up were all at the War Emperor realm. The distance between the two of them was quickly closing. Fatso's head was covered in sweat, and he used all his strength. Seeing that they were about to be caught by the group of water beasts, the two of them finally left the sky above the lake. Without hesitation, Qin Feiyong grabbed Fatso and hid in the castle. The exposed castle also fell towards the glacier below. Roar! Seeing that the prey in their mouths had suddenly disappeared, the group of water beasts went crazy. They crazily slapped the void, destroying the mountains and rivers. Battle chi surged, and a fierce aura shook the surroundings. After about 100 breaths, they returned to the lake in a mighty manner. Inside the castle, you scared Fat Lord to death. Boss, if you do this again, don't blame Fat Lord for turning on you. Fatso collapsed on the ground, patting his chest with lingering fear. At the same time, he glared fiercely at Qin Feiyong. Xiao Hong is braver than you, and you still have the nerve to turn on me? At least you're a man, don't let me look down on you. Wolf King rolled his eyes. Fatso pursed his lips and said, who doesn't have a few shortcomings? Unlike you, who treats shamelessness as glory. Yes, you're simply shameless to the extreme. The pangolin nodded in agreement. Roar! Wolf King flew into a rage and ran up to Fatso and the pangolin to bite them, causing them to howl in pain. Lu Hong still needs to cultivate, can you guys stop arguing? Qin Feiyong was a little helpless. Having too many top-notch people around was also a kind of trouble. He listened carefully for a while, but didn't hear anything. I'll go out and take a look at the situation first, Qin Feiyong said, and with a flash he appeared outside. Within a radius of a few hundred meters, everything was shattered. Goosefeather heavy snow fell, gradually covering the shattered area. Chapter 348. The cold wind whistled and blew against his face, causing him to feel a piercing pain. Qin Feiyong turned his head and glanced at the lake, then climbed up an ice peak and looked down in all directions. The glacier stretched as far as the eye could see. There was no sign of life. But in the distance, he could see the shadows of some vicious beasts. Qin Feiyong did not know anything about the Forgotten Land, so he did not think too much about it. After jumping down from the ice peak, he called out to Wolf King and sped towards the east. Little Qinzi, look, why is that snow ape so strange? A snow ape was wandering on the glacier, probably hunting for food. Its size was about the same as a robust man. Its entire body was covered in snow-white fur. It had merged with the world of ice and snow. If it did not move, one would not think that it was a vicious beast. The Wolf King looked at the ferocious beast with a strange glint in its eyes. Because that snow ape actually had 2 heads. Qin Feiyong sized it up for a while, then frowned. I think I've seen it somewhere before. In the Great Qin Empire, 1-headed apes were very common. But he had never met a 2-headed ape before. Suddenly, Qin Feiyong's gaze trembled and said, I remember now, that's a snow mountain ape. Snow mountain ape? Wolf King was startled and asked doubtfully, is it different from the snow ape? It's different. The snow ape we usually see, no matter how strong they are, only have 1 head. But according to ancient records, the snow mountain ape will grow another head when they break through to the war chief realm. When they break through to the war emperor, they will grow a 3rd head. Qin Feiyong said. There's such a thing? The strange light in Wolf King's eyes became even stronger. Something's wrong. Qin Feiyong suddenly frowned. What's wrong? Wolf King was puzzled. Qin Feiyong said. It's unbelievable. Wolf King stared blankly and angrily said, what are you trying to say? Qin Feiyong said, didn't I encounter 3 giant pythons in the lake? Wolf King frowned. Yes, is there a problem? Not only is there a problem, there is a huge problem. The scales of those 3 giant pythons are snow-white. If I remember correctly, they should be snow pythons. But snow pythons and snow mountain apes are extinct species, Qin Feiyong said in a deep voice. Extinction? Wolf King was bewildered. That's right. Back when I was in the Imperial Palace, I read an ancient book. The ancient records clearly state that these 2 types of ferocious beasts were from 10,000 years ago. Qin Feiyong said, 10,000 years ago. Wolf King was shocked and asked suspiciously, then why did they go extinct? Qin Feiyong shook his head and said, the reason for their extinction is not recorded in the ancient books, but I asked my mother. She said it has something to do with the unification of the Great Qin Empire by my ancestor. In other words, they were killed by your ancestor? Your ancestor is really cruel. Wolf King said disdainfully. Don't talk nonsense. When there is war, there must be death. What's more, my ancestor didn't kill innocent people. Otherwise, he wouldn't have let the mermaid clan go. Qin Feiyong said. Wolf King pursed his lips and said, he is merciful, but it doesn't mean that his subordinates are also merciful. Qin Feiyong rolled his eyes and shook his head. These things are not something we are qualified to discuss. But, the Forgotten Land actually has creatures from 10,000 years ago. It's unbelievable no matter how I think about it. What kind of place is this? Qin Feiyong glanced at the land suspiciously. Who cares, as long as there is something fun, it's the same anywhere. Brother will go and experience the strength of that snow mountain ape first. Descendants from 10,000 years ago. Don't let brother down. Wolf King chuckled and immediately activated Berserk Rage, turning into a muscular wolf. Little monkey, fight me if you have the guts. It stood up like a human, roared, and rushed toward the snow mountain ape. Roar! The snow mountain ape turned its head to take a look, and its ferocious nature erupted as well. Like a human, it charged toward the Wolf King. Bang! Crack! The 2 beasts collided with each other like lightning, and the snow mountain ape was immediately sent flying. This is a descendant from 10,000 years ago? Wolf King was stunned and said disdainfully, so what? Roar! The snow mountain ape got up, looked at Wolf King angrily and roared at the sky. Roar! The next moment, 2 louder beast roars sounded from behind an ice mountain not far away. Following closely, 2 snow mountain apes dashed out. Their bodies would double in size, and they had 3 heads on their shoulders. They have the strength of the War Emperor realm. They should be the parents of that snow mountain ape. Run! Qin Feiyang shouted. Fuck, are you kidding me? Wolf King cursed angrily, turned around and ran in front of Qin Feiyang, turned into the size of a palm, and jumped onto Qin Feiyang's shoulder. Qin Feiyang also immediately used Imperial Wind Steps and quickly fled. At the same time, the two adult Snow Mountain apes ran in front of the cub and growled a few times. The cub pointed at Qin Feiyang and Wolf King and growled a few times. At this moment, the two adult Snow Mountain apes were furious. They brought their cub and chased after Qin Feiyang and Wolf King. Wolf King said in shock, "They're catching up. Isn't it all your fault? If you hadn't provoked it, wouldn't nothing have happened?" Qin Feiyang said angrily. Wolf King scolded. Who knew that it had a backer so fucking unlucky? Qin Feiyang's face twitched. Others said that he was a jinx. But in his opinion, Ruffian Wolf was the real jinx. How is this possible? There are actually people. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang's pupils shrank. A few hundred meters ahead, there were three blurry figures fighting a ferocious beast. It's really humans. Wolf King was also in disbelief. Wasn't the Forgotten Land a historical site? How could there be humans? They all thought that there were no other creatures here except for the fierce beasts. However, the result was far beyond their expectations. Wolf King said, "Little Qin Zi, were we fooled by that old witch?" "It's possible." Qin Feiyang nodded. In the blink of an eye. Roar! The two Snow Mountain apes chased closely. Moreover, their speed was countless times faster than Qin Feiyang's. In a few blinks of an eye, they arrived behind the man and the wolf. Shua! There was nothing he could do. Qin Feiyang could only bring Wolf King into the castle to temporarily avoid the danger. A fierce beast of the War Emperor realm was not something that he could fight against right now. One man and one wolf disappeared into thin air. The two Snow Mountain apes couldn't help but be stunned. But then, they rushed towards the three people in the distance. Obviously, they thought that the three of them were Qin Feiyang's accomplices. Damn it, why are the Snow Mountain apes here? Retreat! Seeing this, the three of them also changed their expressions and hurriedly turned around to flee. The fierce beast that was fighting with them was a snow-white leopard. It was more than 2 meters long and had a strong body. However, at this moment, its body was covered in wounds and its fur was dyed red with blood. Seeing the two Snow Mountain apes, the snow leopard also hurriedly fled. In its bell-sized eyes, there was a trace of fear that could not be dispelled. The two Snow Mountain apes chased for a few steps before stopping. They roared at the three of them a few times before returning to their lair. Not long later, Qin Feiyang and Wolf King appeared out of thin air. Seeing the two Snow Mountain apes disappear behind the ice mountain, Qin Feiyang heaved a long sigh of relief. Then, he grabbed Wolf King who was on his shoulder and said angrily, "I'm telling you, don't act recklessly again. Otherwise, I'll throw you here and let you fend for yourself." "TSK, do you think I'm scared? If I stay here, I might be able to make a name for myself. I'll have a better future than following you." Wolf King was disdainful. Qin Feiyang's veins bulged as he fiercely knocked on its head. Wolf King grimaced in pain and said angrily, "If you have the guts, try knocking again? So what if I knock you?" Qin Feiyang was so angry that he laughed instead. He suddenly gave it a knock on the head and shouted, "If you piss me off, I'll castrate you." Wolf King was about to fly into a rage. But when it heard these words, it immediately shrank like an eggplant in the sun. "I don't believe that I can't subdue you." Qin Feiyang snorted coldly and chased after the three of them. What kind of place was the Forgotten Land? Right now, only those three people could find the answer. In front of them there was a vast forest. Even the thinnest tree needed 2 hands to hug it. The thickest tree couldn't be surrounded by 5 or 6 people. On the branches there was a thick layer of snow piled up, like a huge snow-white umbrella. It was quite spectacular. Those 3 people were currently gathered at the edge of the forest. They were 2 men and a woman, all around 25 or 26 years old. They were all wearing leopard fur coats. One of the 2 men was tall and the other was short. They were about the same size. We were about to kill that snow leopard, but those 2 Snow Mountain apes ruined it. What bad luck. The short young man angrily kicked the trunk next to him. The tree shook violently, and pieces of snow fell down. The tall young man and the woman hurriedly retreated to the side and looked at the short young man unhappily. Why are you looking at me? Can't I vent my anger? The short young man said angrily. The tall young man and the woman looked at each other and couldn't help but sigh. In fact, they were also very angry. Forget it, we'll just admit that we're unlucky today. It's getting late, let's go back to the tribe first and come back tomorrow. The woman said. Okay. The tall young man nodded. What bad luck. The short young man cursed angrily. The three of you, please wait a moment. Just as the three of them were about to enter the forest, a loud shout came from behind. Someone's there? The three of them were stunned and turned around. When they saw Qin Feiyang, a trace of suspicion crept up on their faces. The short young man said, Look, is that small beast on his shoulder a wolf? The tall young man looked carefully and nodded. It's indeed a wolf, but why is it so small? Even if it's a cub, it's much bigger than this. The woman whispered. It's a little strange, be careful. The two young men nodded. A dozen breaths later, Qin Feiyang ran to the three of them, cupped his hands and smiled. I'm Qin Feiyang. Please forgive me if I've disturbed the three of you. It's okay. The woman smiled and asked, Why are you looking for us? The woman's figure was petite and exquisite, and her cheeks had a touch of red in the bone-chilling wind. Overall, she looked quite beautiful. Qin Feiyang was about to speak. The short young man suddenly said, Wait. Qin Feiyang, the woman, and the tall young man all looked at him in confusion. The short young man said, Were those two snow mountain apes attracted by you? Chapter 349. Qin Feiyang was very polite. This was the first time he was so polite to strangers. However, the short young man did not appreciate it. Apologize. You ruined our plans. How can an apology be enough to settle the matter? The short young man was unforgiving. He threw a punch at Qin Feiyang. There was a layer of dazzling vital energy on his fist. Qin Feiyang frowned. He used the wind riding steps to dodge the attack. He actually dodged it? The short young man was stunned. He sneered and said, It turns out that you have some skills. No wonder you dare to be so arrogant. As soon as he finished speaking, he moved his feet, raised his fist and threw another punch at Qin Feiyang. Arrogant? Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. He had been amiable since the beginning. How could he be so arrogant? Wolf King said telepathically, Little Qin Zi. He is only a 7-star martial grandmaster. Let me destroy him. There is no need for that. If he wants to be arrogant, I will show him what true arrogance is. There was a cold glint in Qin Feiyang's eyes. He raised his hand and waved it. Without using his battle aura, he slapped the short young man's fist. He was a 4-star battle king now. He could crush a 7-star martial grandmaster without using his battle aura. Crash. The short young man's arm was instantly lacerated. He flew out and hit the trunk of a big tree. The short young man immediately spat out a mouthful of blood. Splash. Thick snow poured down and drowned him. He is so powerful. Seeing this, the tall young man and the woman could not help but narrow their eyes. Boom! The short young man lifted the snow and jumped out. Bastard, how dare you hurt me? I will cripple you. His face was ferocious. With a wave of his hand, a big iron bow and 3 arrows appeared. He grabbed the iron bow and released the arrows. Whoosh! 3 arrows were shot towards Qin Feiyang, containing an astonishing murderous aura. Qin Feiyang frowned and said, It was just an accident. Do you really want to make such a big deal out of it? Cut the crap. The short young man roared. Humph. Qin Feiyang snorted coldly. This person was simply unreasonable. He slapped out with his palm, and crimson-red sword chi gushed out, turning into a raging wave. Every wisp of battle chi was like a sharp wind blade that crushed everything in its path. Crack! The 3 arrows shattered on the spot. What? That's battle chi. He's actually a war king. The short young man was horrified. His face gradually turned as pale as a sheet of paper. On his face there was an unresolvable fear. Plop! In the end he collapsed in the snow, his body shivering. The big iron bow also left his hand. Who was this person? He looked to be about 17 or 18 years old. However, he had actually broken through to the Battle King realm. The tall young man and the woman were also extremely shocked. a 17 or 18 years old person actually had such combat strength. It was truly shocking. The tall young man cupped his hands and said, "May I ask which tribe you're from?" "Tribe?" Qin Feiyong was slightly taken aback. He smiled faintly and said, "To be honest, I'm actually just a rogue cultivator." "A rogue cultivator?" The tall young man was shocked. Strength was accumulated by accumulating resources. How could a rogue cultivator with no one to rely on have such strength at such a young age? Unless this person had some kind of treasure on him. At the same time, the woman walked over and helped the short young man to his feet. "This person's identity is unknown. Bear with it for now. We'll talk about it after we figure out his background." However, just as she was getting up, the woman whispered into the short young man's ear. The short young man nodded without leaving a trace. A cold light flashed in the depths of his eyes. The two of them thought that their plan was flawless. However, they did not know that Qin Feiyong had already noticed. He could not help but raise his eyebrows. These three people seemed to be up to no good. Qin Feiyong's eyes flashed. He cupped his hands and said with a smile, "You three, I still have something to do. I'll take my leave first." After that, he took Wolf King and entered the jungle alone. It was not that he was afraid of trouble. It was better to have less trouble than more trouble. Since there were people and tribes here, he could go to others to inquire about information. There was no need to get into trouble. "He's leaving just like that?" The three of them were stunned. They looked at each other and hurriedly chased after him. The tall young man smiled and said, "Brother Qin, didn't you come to us for something just now?" Qin Feiyong smiled faintly and said, "It's nothing important. I just wanted to ask for directions." The tall young man asked, "Then where are you going now?" Qin Feiyong smiled and said nothing. The tall young man sighed and said, "Brother Qin, it seems that you don't trust us." "No, it's just that after this kind of thing I don't want to bother you anymore." Qin Feiyong smiled faintly. The tall young man said, "If it's just because of this, I apologize to you on behalf of Lu Zhou." The short young man said angrily, "It's obvious that he was in the wrong first. Why should we apologize?" The tall young man glared at him. Lu Zhou frowned, then snorted coldly and lowered his head to ponder. "Brother Qin, in fact it's not Lu Zhou's fault. You may not know, but we have been eyeing that snow leopard for a long time. If there were no accidents, we would have succeeded in hunting it this time. But at the critical moment, Brother Qin, you caused us to fail in the hunt. Anyone who encounters such a thing will have resentment in his heart. So, please don't blame him, Brother Qin." The tall young man smiled. Qin Feiyong said, "I don't blame him. After all, this matter is indeed my fault." The woman smiled and asked, "May I know how old Brother Qin is now?" Wolf King smiled sinisterly and said, "What? Do you like my little Qin Zi?" A row of black lines suddenly appeared on Qin Feiyong's forehead. "A wolf that can talk?" The tall young man and the other two were extremely surprised. "That's not right." The aura that this wolf exuded was obviously not very strong. How could it speak human language? Could it have taken a beast spirit pill? In that case, it was very likely that this person had a beast spirit pill on him. The three of them suddenly became excited. "Brother Qin, you look at most 18 years old. With such cultivation at this age, which woman wouldn't like you?" The woman's eyes flashed and she giggled. The Wolf King was astonished. "Is this a confession?" he asked playfully. The woman smiled and said, "If you say so, then so be it." The Wolf King was in a daze. It had always been shameless, but at this moment it did not know how to answer. It seemed that even it could not do anything when faced with a thick-skinned woman. The woman continued, "Since the misunderstanding has been resolved, Brother Qin, why don't you come with us to the tribe?" Qin Feiyong's heart skipped a beat. Weren't these two people too enthusiastic? Forget it. Lest there be any more misunderstandings. See you later. After Qin Feiyong finished speaking, he used the wind riding steps and sped forward. Seeing this, the tall young man's face showed a touch of hostility, and he snorted coldly, "You really don't want face." The woman said, "He must have a lot of treasures on him. If we can get them, our strength will definitely improve a lot in a short time." The short young man's heart was excited, and he could not wait to say, "Then what are we waiting for? Let's join hands and kill them now. Don't act rashly. That man's strength is not simple. And that wolf, it gives me a feeling that it is stronger than that man. Looking at the direction they are going, they should pass by our tribe. Let's take a shortcut back, catch up with them, and set up an ambush in advance, the tall young man said. Lu Zhou and the other two nodded. In the jungle ahead, Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice, White-eyed wolf, pay attention to the surrounding movements. What? Wolf King was surprised. Qin Feiyang said, those three have ulterior motives, what should they be plotting? Just them? Wolf King was disdainful. Qin Feiyang said, don't look down on anyone. There were also ferocious beasts in the jungle. But their strength was not too strong, basically between martial ancestor and battle king. They did not pose much of a threat to Qin Feiyang and Wolf King. About an hour later, a man and a wolf finally walked out of the jungle. A huge mountain stronghold entered their line of sight. The village was made up of hundreds of houses of various sizes. It covered an area of about 1 mile, and was backed by a snow mountain more than 100 feet high. Those houses were all built with wood, and the roofs were covered with thick snow. Some houses had smoke rising from their chimneys. On the snowy ground there were many children laughing and playing nonstop, having a lot of fun. Around the village, there was a row of fences more than 3 meters high. Every distance, there was a strong man guarding to prevent ferocious beasts from breaking into the village. On both sides of the village's gate, there were 4 strong men guarding, all with the strength of a 1-star battle king. Above the gate there was a wide wooden sign, with 4 big words engraved on it. Lu Tribe. Qin Feiyang glanced at the tribe and strode over. Wolf King suddenly said, that short young man just now seemed to be called Lu Zhou. Could he be from this tribe? Qin Feiyang immediately stopped, glanced at the Lu tribe and turned to leave. Boom! However, at this time, one figure after another jumped out from under the accumulated snow all around. There were more than 30 people. There were men and women, old and young. Some were holding sharp blades, some were holding big iron bows, and without exception they all had an unfriendly expression. Qin Feiyang glanced at them one by one. The strength of these people was even stronger than the 4 guards at the gate of the tribe. However, he did not find any battle emperors. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang's gaze locked onto a certain place. There stood 2 men and a woman. It was Lu Zhou and the other 2 people he met before. Why is this? Qin Feiyang frowned. Why? Lu Zhou sneered, if it wasn't for you, would that cheetah have been able to escape? So you must give compensation. Qin Feiyang glanced at everyone and said indifferently, I think the compensation is just a cover. What you really want is the Qinkuan bag on me, right? Yeah. Lu Zhou and the other 2 looked at each other, their eyes filled with surprise. How did he know? Haha, the tall young man laughed and said, since you already know, then hand it over. The woman followed. As long as you hand it over, we'll let you go. Qin Feiyang said, if I don't hand it over, will you kill me? You're very smart, so you'd better be sensible. Although you're very strong, there are many people stronger than you in the Lu tribe. You can't beat us. Chapter 350. Qin Feiyang said, you guys can be so righteous even after killing and robbing. I really admire you guys. However, I am very sorry. In my Qin Feiyang's dictionary the word tactful does not exist. Let me give you a piece of advice. You'd better get out of the way immediately. Qin Feiyang had already lost his patience. Robbing in broad daylight. These people were simply lawless. Did they really think he was a pushover? Lu Zhou screamed, oh my, did you hear that? He's threatening us? Haha, the people around them laughed loudly. It was as if they had heard the funniest joke in the world. Their eyebrows were also filled with mockery and contempt. The woman looked at the burly man next to her and said respectfully, leader, we should just kill this arrogant guy. The burly man was wearing a golden tiger fur coat. He had a burly body and a rugged face. He was filled with a valiant aura. He looked at Qin Feiyang with a murderous look in his eyes. Kill them. Following his command, the people holding the big iron bows all pulled out an arrow from the quiver on their backs. They drew the bows and loaded the arrows in one go. Whoosh! Immediately, More than 10 cold arrows shot toward Qin Feiyang and Wolf King like poisonous snakes bearing their fangs. In an instant, the void here was filled with a murderous aura. Whoosh! At this moment Qin Feiyang made his move. He used the wind riding steps and kept dodging the arrows as he went straight toward Lu Zhou and the other two. He's so fast. Quick, 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 stop him. The three of them changed their expressions. Qin Feiyang obviously wanted to kill them first. Lu Zhou had personally experienced Qin Feiyang's strength. The tall young man and the woman had also seen it with their own eyes. Even if they joined forces, they might not be a match for him. Before he finished speaking, two burly men stepped forward and stood in front of Qin Feiyang. Boom! The two of them threw a punch. A powerful aura swept out in all directions and the snow danced in the air. These two men were 5-star battle kings. Whoosh! In the meantime, more than a dozen arrows shot towards Qin Feiyang's legs like bolts of lightning. Qin Feiyang shouted, "White-eyed wolf, kill all those people who shot arrows. I've been waiting for you to say that." Wolf King's eyes glowed with an ominous light. He jumped down from Qin Feiyang's shoulder. "Tremble, you ants!" With a roar, it instantly activated berserk rage and transformed into a muscular wolf. Those arrows that were shot over were like dead wood in front of it, unable to withstand a single blow. With a wave of its claws, the arrows were all shattered. Following closely, it rushed towards the men who had shot the arrows. What? It can actually transform. The surrounding Lu tribe members were all shocked, their faces filled with disbelief. Ah! Two screams were heard. Two men with iron bows had their heads smashed by the Wolf King's claws. In its berserk state, it possessed the combat strength of a 7-star battle emperor. Those who had shot the arrows were basically 1-star to 3-breath battle kings. How could they be its match? It was a one-sided slaughter. One after another, blood-curdling screams sounded out in succession. One after another, the clansmen of the Lu tribe continuously fell into pools of blood. Fresh blood dyed the snowy ground red. It was a ghastly sight. At the same time, Qin Feiyang was also fearless as he charged towards the two 5-star battle kings. The moment they met, he raised both of his hands and golden light burst out from his palms. Both of his hands circulated the return formula at the same time. As the fists and palms collided, the two men immediately spat out a mouthful of blood. Their entire arms exploded on the spot and were sent flying. Even 5-star battle kings are not his match? Lu Zhou and the other two were shocked. Only now did they realize that this was an enemy that was more terrifying than they had imagined. I've been very polite to you, but you've schemed against me again and again. You're simply courting death. Qin Feiyang did not stop as he charged towards Lu Zhou and the other two. Lu Zhou roared, "Chief, hurry up and attack. You're the only one who can kill him now." When the chief of the Lu tribe saw Wolf King killing in all directions, his murderous intent had already been aroused. "Little bastard, you've killed my tribesmen. You deserve death." He took a step forward and his aura exploded. He stretched out his fan-like hand and slapped towards Qin Feiyang's head. It was a 9-star battle king. "You're the only one who's allowed to rob and we're not allowed to kill your tribesmen? What a joke." Qin Feiyang was so angry that he laughed and slapped back without flinching. The return formula was displayed. The two big hands collided with a loud bang. Boom! A terrifying wave of air rolled out in all directions with the two of them as the center point. Lu Zhou and the others were immediately sent flying by the wave of air. Their bodies shook violently as they spat out blood. He can still fight with the chief? Many people found it unbelievable. The people who were hiding in the tribe also stared with their eyes wide open in disbelief. But in the next moment, an even more shocking scene appeared. The chief actually spat out a mouthful of blood. His body retreated continuously, and the golden tiger skin coat on his body was instantly torn apart. His robust body was revealed. As for his arm, it was lacerated and bleeding profusely. Looking at Qin Feiyang again, he was also retreating, and his arm was also badly mutilated. However, one had to know that he was only a 4-star battle king, and the chief was a 9-star battle king. There was a difference of 5 small realms. He was actually able to fight the chief of the Lu tribe to a standstill. Putting everything else aside, just based on this point alone, he was the victor. Lu Zhou and the other two were stunned. This was his true strength. It was actually so terrifying. However, they did not realize that a crisis was approaching. They saw Qin Feiyong rushing towards the three of them, as if he had transformed into a blood-soaked god of war. His eyes were filled with bone-chilling killing intent. By the time they reacted, Qin Feiyong had already arrived in front of them. "Don't kill us. We know we were wrong. We'll kneel and apologize to you." The three of them were immediately scared out of their wits. They knelt in the snow and kowtowed with all their might. The situation has developed to this point. Do you think an apology is of any use? Qin Feiyong's big hand reached out and smashed the heads of the three without mercy. Bang! Bang! Immediately, the three of them fell to the ground and died. Only their terrified screams echoed in the sky above the tribe and did not dissipate for a long time. After killing the three of them, Qin Feiyong took out a healing pill with 2 patterns and threw it into his mouth. His badly mutilated arm immediately healed. At the same time, the battle on Wolf King's side had also ended. Except for the chief of the Lu tribe and the black-clothed old man, everyone else was killed. Corpses lay on the snow, and blood dyed a large area red. It was like Azura hell, and the smell of blood was pungent. "How dare you steal our cosmos bags with such little strength?" Wolf King walked to Qin Feiyong's side and looked at the chief of the Lu tribe and the black-clothed old man. His bell-like eyes were filled with contempt. "They're all dead." The two of them did not seem to hear as they glanced at the corpses of their tribesmen. Their hands were clenched tightly, and their hearts were bleeding. These people were the elites of the tribe and the pillars of the tribe. They did not expect that in just a moment, they were all lying on the ground. "I'm going to tear you to pieces." The chief of the Lu tribe suddenly looked at Qin Feiyong and Wolf King with a twisted and ferocious face. "You're blaming us? If it weren't for your insatiable greed, would they have died? If you really want to blame someone, you can only blame yourself. You caused their deaths." Qin Feiyong said lightly. Under the healing pill's healing, the wound on his arm had already healed. He was confident that he could get rid of the chief of the Lu tribe. "Haha, no matter what you say, you have to die today." The chief laughed angrily. "If I don't kill you, they won't be able to rest in peace." The black-clothed old man also spoke. His voice was hoarse and low, and full of strong killing intent. Boom! The two of them trembled and activated their fighting souls at the same time. The chief's fighting soul was a black panther. Its body was dozens of meters long, and it was ferocious. The black-clothed old man's fighting soul was a giant sickle, like the sickle of the Grim Reaper. Its body was pitch black, and the sawtooth revealed an astonishing sharpness. "You guys are really stubborn. Stand still, don't be scared by me." Wolf King laughed, and his body emitted a golden light, and a giant golden beast shadow appeared behind him. "Strip!" Wolf King shouted. The two fighting souls immediately floated toward the golden beast shadow. In the end, they were swallowed by the golden beast shadow. How could this be? The two of them were terrified. They were actually swallowed? What kind of fighting soul was that? It was too scary. However, in the next moment, their bodies and minds trembled, and their faces were filled with disbelief. They could not summon their fighting souls anymore. "Now kill!" Qin Feiyong shouted in a low voice. The man and wolf were like the Grim Reaper, and they rushed toward the two of them. "Chief High Priest, be careful!" Seeing this, the people hiding in the tribe hurriedly shouted. The two of them quivered and suddenly came back to their senses. Without hesitation, they raised their fists and punched toward Qin Feiyong and Wolf King. However, it was obviously a little hasty. "Let me do it!" Qin Feiyong shouted. He stretched out both hands and used the return formula. Bang! The three of them were sent flying at the same time. The Wolf King seized the opportunity and pounced at the black-clothed old man, crushing his throat in one bite. "Ah!" Screams resounded through the sky. "Bastard!" The chief bared his teeth. As he stabilized his body, he charged toward Wolf King angrily. "Hey!" Wolf King grinned. He did not dodge. Instead, he waved his thick claws and rushed toward the chief. "I'll kill you now." The chief laughed sinisterly. Although Wolf King was very strong, he was still a long way from a 9-star battle king. He was confident that he could blast Wolf King's head with one punch. "Chief, be careful behind you." But at this moment, The 4 burly men guarding the gate shouted in unison. The chief felt a chill on his back and hurriedly turned his head to look. Immediately, he saw Qin Feiyong holding a dagger and pouncing toward him. There was a devilish smile on that slightly immature face. It's over. Qin Feiyong raised the corner of his mouth and stabbed the chief between his eyebrows, penetrating his entire head. At the same time, Wolf King also pounced and slashed the chief's throat with his claws. Blood spurted out like a fountain. Chapter 351. Wolf King said, "Little Qinzi, are you okay?" "I'm fine." Qin Feiyong shook his head. Earlier, he fought the high priest and the chief by himself. Although he had the return technique, his arms were torn apart and almost crippled. Fortunately, the 2 of them were dead. Otherwise, he really wouldn't have the strength to fight back now. The chief is dead. The high priest is also dead. Why did this happen? Why are you so cruel? Let's go together and kill them. At this moment, a large group of people rushed out of the tribe with a menacing aura. Wolf King's eyes flashed fiercely, and he said coldly, "If you dare to take another step forward, I'll slaughter your entire tribe, and not leave a single one alive." Those people stopped in unison. Their faces were full of anger. But at the same time there was also fear. Although the person called Qin Feiyong was seriously injured, the wolf was still alive and kicking. The most important thing was that the strongest person in the tribe was only a 1-star battle king. No one was a match for the wolf. They were afraid. If that wolf really unleashed its ferocious nature, then today the Lu tribe would be doomed. Qin Feiyong put away the Chang Shui, took a supreme-grade healing pill, and asked, "Which tribe is the strongest here?" No one in the Lu tribe answered. They all looked at him with hatred. "Do you want to die? I'll help you." Wolf King was furious. With a terrifying murderous aura, he walked toward the gate. "The strongest is the Purple Sun tribe." Someone immediately answered. Wolf King stopped and glanced at them one by one. He sneered and said, "If I don't use some ruthless means, you won't be honest." No one dared to look into his eyes. They all lowered their heads and shivered. Qin Feiyong asked again, "How far is the Purple Sun tribe from here?" Someone said, "Very far. It takes a battle king 5 or 6 years to get there." "So far?" Qin Feiyong frowned. The heavenly thunderflame was a 6th-grade pill fire. People in small tribes definitely didn't know. Therefore, he had to go to the Purple Sun tribe and ask those big shots. But he couldn't afford to waste 5 or 6 years. He pondered for a moment. He asked again, "Do you know the coordinates of the Ziyang tribe?" Everyone shook their heads. Qin Feiyong frowned and said, "How many tribes are there in the vicinity? Which tribe is the strongest?" A brawny man said, "There are more than 10 tribes of different sizes within 100 miles. The He tribe is the strongest." Qin Feiyong asked, "Where?" The brawny man said, "Go straight south. When you see a glacier, you'll see the He tribe." Bingha. Qin Feiyong pondered for a moment, glanced at the people in front of the fence and said, "Don't make any more trouble. Otherwise, this ruffian wolf will really slaughter your Lu tribe." "Let's go." Qin Feiyong called out, turned around and rushed to the east. Wolf King bared his teeth and glared at the people of the Lu tribe. Then he turned around and chased after Qin Feiyong. After the man and the wolf had left, the people of the Lu tribe rushed out and rushed towards the corpses of the chief and the high priest. "Damn bastards! We can't let them off easily. Yes, we have to kill them and avenge the chief and the others." Everyone roared with righteous indignation. A 1-star battle king shouted, "Lu Yu, come here." A 25-year-old black-clothed youth walked out from the crowd. He looked at the chief's corpse with red eyes and a face full of resentment. The 1-star battle king said, "Lu Yu, as the only son of the chief, you must avenge the chief and the others." Lu Yu said with grief and indignation, "I'm only a 5-star martial ancestor now. How can I avenge them?" "I have a way." The 1-star battle king stood up and muttered a few words in Lu Yu's ear. "Okay, I'll go now." Lu Yu nodded and immediately ran into the tribe. In the center of the tribe, there was a tall wooden building. That was the chief's residence. Lu Yu ran into the wooden building without stopping. He entered the study and stood in front of a bookshelf. On the bookshelf there were books neatly arranged. Lu Yu glanced at the books and reached out to grab one of the books, moving it slightly. Crack! Immediately, the bookshelf, which was originally one piece, split in the middle and slowly moved to the sides. A secret room appeared. The secret room was only 2 to 3 meters wide, and there was a stone platform in the middle. On the stone platform there were 6 chenkuan bags and a metal box. Lu Yu walked to the front of the stone platform and directly opened the metal box. Inside was a door that was the size of a baby's palm and emitted a hazy glow. It was the teleportation door. He grabbed the teleportation door and the 3 chenkuan bags and put them in his arms before walking out of the secret room. After the bookshelf closed, Lu Yu opened the teleportation door and stepped in. The next moment, he appeared in front of the gate of a tribe. This tribe was several times larger than the Lu tribe, and was formed by thousands of wooden buildings. It occupied an area of 5 to 6 square kilometers. Not far from the tribe, there was an ice river that was more than 10 meters wide. The river flowed very slowly. If one didn't look carefully, one wouldn't even notice that the river was flowing. Wisps of white mist rose continuously and the cold air was bone-piercing. On the gate of the tribe, there were 4 bold and powerful words engraved. He tribe. At the gate stood 4 burly men, all wearing black wolf fur coats. Aren't you the son of the Lu tribe's leader? What did you come to our He tribe for? Seeing Lu Yu suddenly appear, the 4 of them couldn't help but be stunned. Lu Yu cupped his hands and said, "This junior has something to request an audience with leader He. I hope that the 4 of you can inform him." Request an audience with the leader. The 4 of them looked at each other and were even more puzzled. "Follow me." One of the burly men turned around and walked into the tribe. Lu Yu followed closely. Why did he suddenly come to our tribe? It seems like he used a teleportation door. I remember that the Lu tribe only has one teleportation door, and usually treasures it like a treasure. They're actually using it this time? Really strange. The 3 burly men at the gate started discussing in low voices. A wooden building that was more than 10 meters tall was located in the center of the He tribe. After a moment, Lu Yu and that burly man came to the door. The door was tightly shut and it was completely silent. That burly man said respectfully, "Leader, the son of the Lu tribe's leader, Lu Yu requests an audience. Let him in." A hoarse voice came from inside the house. That burly man reached out and pushed open the door. Inside was a spacious hall. There was a bonfire in the center, burning fiercely and dispelling the cold current. Beside the bonfire, there was a wolf that was more than a meter long. That wolf had already been skinned. The surface was roasted golden, and the fragrance of meat filled the entire hall. Beside it, there was a wide couch covered with a layer of golden wolf skin. A black-clothed old man was lying comfortably on the couch. There were also 2 rather beautiful maids in their 20s serving at the side. One fed him wine and meat. The other sat beside the seat and gently massaged his legs. This simple life was very comfortable. That burly man brought Lu Yu and walked in front of the black-clothed old man. Lu Yu bowed and said, "Junior Lu Yu greets leader Hyun." He Yuan glanced at him indifferently and said, "What are you looking for me for?" Lu Yu said, "Junior wants to ask the leader to kill someone." He Yuan frowned and asked, "Who?" Lu Yu said, "A person called Qin Feiyang. He has a wolf by his side." Wolf? He Yuan and the burly man's eyes lit up at the same time. The burly man asked, "Why do you want to kill them?" Lu Yu said resentfully, "They killed my father, the high priest, and more than 30 war kings of my Lu tribe." What? The burly man and the 2 maids turned pale with fright. He Yuan also suddenly stood up. His old eyes flickered as he asked, "How strong are they?" Lu Yu said, "Very strong, but they haven't broken through to the War Emperor realm. If they haven't reached the War Emperor realm, then there's nothing to worry about." He Yuan smiled disdainfully and said, "However, why should I help you?" Lu Yu took out the 3 cosmos bags and handed them to He Yuan with both hands, saying, "This is half of my Lu tribe's savings. I wonder if it's enough?" He Yuan's eyes flashed as he raised his head to look at the burly man. The burly man understood and grabbed the 3 cosmos bags. After checking them one by one, he nodded to He Yuan. He Yuan pondered for a moment and nodded, "All right, I agree to help you. Tell me the details of their situation." "Thank you, leader." Lu Yu was wild with joy. At the same time, a young man in white was walking on a glacier. It was Qin Feiyang. Wolf King lay on his shoulder and complained, "What the hell is this place? It's too cold." "You're so hairy and you're still saying it's cold?" Qin Feiyang was speechless. Wolf King suddenly said, "Little Qin Zi, do you think we're still in the Great Qin Empire?" "I don't know." Qin Feiyang shook his head. Ferocious beasts from 10,000 years ago, large and small tribes, these were things he had never come into contact with before. If we're not in the Great Qin Empire, where would we be? Wolf King's eyes were filled with doubt. Time flew by. 2 hours had passed. Qin Feiyang walked and stopped all the way until he finally arrived at the glacier. Of course, if he traveled at full speed, it wouldn't have taken him so long. However, he had to heal his injuries. In this strange place, he had to be in peak condition at all times. He stood on the shore and looked up. He could clearly see the He tribe on the other side. "I hope this trip is not in vain," Qin Feiyang muttered. He suddenly jumped up and landed on the other side steadily, walking toward the He tribe. Without waiting for Qin Feiyang to approach the He clan, the 4 large men guarding the entrance had already noticed him. "It's him." The eyes of the burly man who took Lu Yu to He Yuan 2 hours ago lit up. "It's the first time I've seen a wolf that can transform and talk. I just don't know if there's any difference between its meat and that of other wolves. I really want to taste it. He Qing, why don't we kill them here?" The other 3 men licked their lips with a fierce look in their eyes. "Don't act rashly. They killed the chief and high priest of the Lu tribe, which is enough to show that their strength is comparable to a 9-star warrior. I'm afraid only the chief of our He tribe has the ability to kill them," He Qing whispered. Hearing this, the 3 men frowned, but then the corners of their mouths curled into a sneer. Chapter 352. At the same time, Qin Feiyang was also sizing up He Qing and the other 3. The 4 of them all had the strength of a 3-star battle king. In the tribe, there were no less than 100 battle king auras. Their overall strength was indeed several times stronger than the Lu tribe. But suddenly, his expression changed, and a cold light flashed past the depths of his eyes. Because He Qing and the other 3 were all wearing wolf pelts, Wolf King had followed him through life and death, and he had long regarded Wolf King as family. Thus, he had an inexplicable good impression of other wolves, no matter what species they were. At this moment, when he saw the 4 of them wearing wolf pelt coats, he instantly lost his good impression of the He tribe. Similarly, seeing his own kind being killed and their fur being skinned, Wolf King couldn't help but feel a killing intent in his heart. "Calm down." When Qin Feiyang detected the Wolf King's change, he secretly sent a sound transmission to comfort it. Right now, they hadn't figured out the strength of the He tribe, so they couldn't act rashly. Walking in front of the 4 of them, Qin Feiyang was about to speak. Wolf King was the first to speak. "Call your leader out. He can really talk." The eyes of the 4 lit up. He Qing said, "Follow me, the leader has been waiting for a long time. Finish speaking." He Qing turned around and walked into the tribe. "He knew we were coming?" Qin Feiyang and Wolf King looked at each other, their eyes filled with surprise. "Hurry up and go, what are you waiting for? It's your fortune that the leader is willing to see you. Don't dilly-dally." The other 3 berated. "That's not right. Little Qin Zi, there's a problem here." Wolf King sent a sound transmission. They had just arrived at the Forgotten Land, so how could the people of the He tribe know about them? It was even more impossible for them to know that they would come to the He tribe. The only explanation was that someone had tipped off the He tribe. As for the person who had tipped them off, there was no doubt that it was the Lu tribe. Isn't solving problems what we're best at? A cold light flashed in Qin Feiyang's eyes as he strode in. As soon as they entered the tribe, the 3 men closed the door and looked at the man and the wolf with cold eyes. Qin Feiyang glanced at the 3 of them, but his expression didn't change at all. He followed behind He Qing and looked around. Gradually, he realized that those who were slightly stronger were all wearing wolf fur coats. Qin Feiyang frowned and asked, "If I may ask, why are you wearing wolf skins?" He Qing turned his head to look at the Wolf King on Qin Feiyang's shoulder. His eyes flashed and he turned his head again. In our He clan, wolves represent a kind of honor. Being able to kill wolves is a symbol of strength. Only those who wear a coat made by Wolf King are qualified to be called strong. He Ching did not hide anything, but his eyes flashed with a fierce light. However, the murderous light in Wolf King's eyes was even more shocking. If it weren't for Qin Feiyong stopping him, he would have killed in all directions and turned the He clan's tribe into a river of blood. A moment later, under He Qing's lead, a man and a wolf walked into the wooden building where He Yuan was. "Bastard, you've gone too far." As soon as he entered the hall and saw the golden wolf roasted by the bonfire, Wolf King exploded on the spot. He Yuan looked at Wolf King and his eyes lit up. "Not bad, I like you. Now I'll give you two choices. First, follow me from now on. Whatever I tell you to do, you will do it. Second, I'll kill you, roast you and eat you. Your meat should be delicious." He Yuan chuckled as he spoke, and he'd completely taken Qin Feiyong to be heir and disregarded him. Interesting. Qin Feiyong crossed his arms, the corner of his mouth pursed with a trace of playfulness, and said, "Make trouble, do whatever you want. Heard of it?" Wolf King chuckled and looked at He Yuan with disdain. "Follow you? Why don't you go take a piss and look at yourself? Brother will also give you two choices. First, be my human pet. In the future, wherever I point, you will go. Second, I will kill all your clansmen and make you beg for death." Wolf King bared his teeth, his eyes full of ridicule. He Yuan's face darkened. Seeing this, He Qing shouted at Wolf King, "You actually dare to offend the leader. You must have eaten the heart of a leopard. You're the one who ate the heart of a leopard. Brother has tolerated you for a long time. Who do you think you are? How dare you yell at brother? You're courting death." Wolf King flew into a rage. He rushed out from Qin Feiyong's shoulder and slapped He Qing's head with his claws. He Qing immediately screamed. His head burst open and fell to the ground, dying on the spot. The two maids couldn't help but scream when they saw this bloody scene. Their faces were filled with fear. He Yuan also suddenly stood up, his old eyes filled with killing intent. "Human pet, do you still want to rebel?" Wolf King jumped up and landed on Qin Feiyong's shoulder, looking down at He Yuan from above. Previous chapter, next chapter. Boom. A terrifying pressure suddenly roared out from He Yuan's body, pouncing towards the man and wolf. War Emperor. Qin Feiyong frowned. So this person was an expert of the War Emperor realm. No wonder he dared to be so arrogant. But even if it was a war sect, he wasn't afraid, let alone a mere War Emperor. He said indifferently, "I didn't mean to cause trouble. I just wanted to ask for the coordinates of the Ziyang tribe, so please behave yourself." It would have been better if Qin Feiyong didn't say this, but once he said this, He Yuan thought that Qin Feiyong was afraid of him. He Yuan said, "Now I'll give you two choices." But before he could finish, Qin Feiyong said impatiently, "This choice, that choice, aren't you tired of it?" He Yuan was startled and immediately laughed sinisterly. "Little bastard, there is a price to pay for being arrogant. I will crush your head." As soon as he finished speaking, killing intent surged in his eyes. Taking a step forward, his old hand reached out like an eagle's claw, grabbing towards Qin Feiyong's head. Qin Feiyong was not afraid in the slightest and said indifferently, "Are you sure you want to make a move? Still so calm?" He Yuan's eyes revealed astonishment, and he laughed sinisterly. "Then I'll kill that wolf first, and then I'll skin it and roast it in front of you. Let's see if you can still be so calm. You won't cry until you're in the coffin." Qin Feiyong's gaze turned cold, and he instantly disappeared with Wolf King. "Where is he?" He Yuan's eyes widened as he hurriedly scanned his surroundings. But there wasn't even a shadow. "What's going on?" Lu Yu walked out from behind a screen, his face also full of surprise. He Yuan suddenly turned his head and said sternly, "You still dare to ask me? Why didn't you tell me earlier that he had such an ability?" Lu Yu's body and mind trembled, and he shook his head in horror. "I don't know either." He Yuan raised his eyebrows. But at this moment, Qin Feiyong appeared out of thin air, glanced at Lu Yu and ran outside. Lu Yu shouted, "He's appeared again." He Yuan turned around and shouted, "Stop right there." But Qin Feiyong turned a deaf ear and ran out of the hall like a wisp of smoke. Running out of the hall, he went to the castle again. "Damn bastard. He Yuan flew into a rage and chased after him. Lu Yu also hurriedly ran out. But there was no trace of Qin Feiyang at all. He Yuan looked not far away and shouted, "Did you see that man and wolf?" There was a group of children playing there, and some adults were watching over them. Hearing that, those people shook their heads and looked at He Yuan in confusion. What the hell is going on? He Yuan's mind was in a mess. Lu Yu stood behind He Yuan, also in extreme disbelief. As soon as they appeared, they disappeared as soon as they ran out of the hall. Could it be that they were ghosts? Shua. At this moment, Qin Feiyang silently appeared behind Lu Yu. He grabbed Lu Yu's arm. Lu Yu's body trembled, and he immediately screamed in panic. Shua. In the next moment, both of them disappeared. Just as the two of them disappeared, He Yuan suddenly turned his head. Seeing that Lu Yu had also disappeared, he couldn't help but feel his scalp explode. Was this a human or a ghost? Everyone pay attention. From now on, be careful and alert. If you find that man and wolf, inform me immediately. He Yuan's roar alarmed the entire He clan. At the same time, inside the castle, Qin Feiyang, Fatso, and Wolf King surrounded Lu Yu, their eyes shining with a cold light. However, Lu Yu was extremely terrified. Where was this place? Was he still in the He clan? Wolf King glanced at the pangolin dozing off and said angrily, "You idiot, don't you have eyes? Quickly come and help." "He's just a martial ancestor, does he need my help?" The pangolin said unhappily. Fatso said, "It's not a matter of helping or not, it's a matter of attitude. Your attitude is very insincere, you know?" The pangolin said angrily, "Then what? Is this considered sincere?" Fatso said, "You have to really integrate into our small team, unite with us and advance side by side." Wolf King nodded and said, "Yes, we'll share blessings and we'll share misfortunes. It's really troublesome." The pangolin pursed his lips unhappily, but suddenly he was stunned and said, "Wait, what did you say? We'll share blessings and we'll share misfortunes?" Wolf King was stunned, coughed dryly and said, "I'm sorry, I said something wrong. What I want to say is we'll share misfortunes." "You're talking nonsense," asked Qin Feiyang and Fatso. "Who doesn't know your character? If I believe your nonsense, sooner or later I will be scammed by you." The pangolin snorted coldly, his eyes full of disdain. Wolf King was a little annoyed. "It can talk too?" Lu Yu, who was at the side, looked at the pangolin in disbelief. "What are you looking at?" The pangolin was extremely angry and ran up to beat him up, causing Lu Yu to scream miserably. "Scream your sister, shut up for this king. Speak, who are you? Why do you want to harm Qin Feiyang? If you don't tell me the truth, this king will find a stick and stab your chrysanthemum." The pangolin roared. Lu Yu's chrysanthemum tightened and said in fear, "I am the son of the Lu tribe's leader." At this moment, he told her everything that had happened without concealing anything. Finished. Seeing the two of them, the eyes of the two beasts became extremely cold. He quivered and hurriedly said, "I was wrong. I won't dare to do it again. Let me go. I promise you I won't provoke you again." Chapter 353. Lu Yu asked, "What's the problem?" Fatso shook his head and said, "Are you an idiot? Can't you see that Brother Wolf wants to kill you?" Hearing this, Lu Yu's face turned pale. "You don't have to do this kind of thing. I'll take care of it." The pangolin roared and beat him up again. He finally vented all the anger he had suffered from Wolf King. Seeing that Lu Yu was about to be beaten to death, Wolf King hurriedly said, "Stop, stop, don't kill him." The pangolin said angrily, "Didn't you say you wanted to kill him?" Wolf King said, "When did I say that? That's just Fatso's self-righteous idea." Fatso was stunned and puzzled. "Then what are you going to do?" Wolf King said angrily, "How did you become so stupid? Of course we're going to rob the Lu tribe." "Rob?" The pangolin was stunned and muttered, "It seems interesting." It couldn't help but be eager to try. Fatso also suddenly realized and said with a sneaky smile, "Brother Wolf is really shameless." "Damn. Looking for trouble?" Wolf King glared at him and asked, "Do you have a portal on you?" "Of course." Fatso patted his chest. "That's good. Let's split up. Fatso, little follower, you take Lu Yu and go to the Lu tribe immediately. Brother and little Qinzi stay here and turn the He tribe upside down, Wolf King said. Leave it to Fat Lord. Fatso laughed. Throughout the whole process, Qin Feiyong did not interrupt. It was a tacit agreement. However, he felt more or less helpless. Only when doing this kind of thing would the ruffian wolf be so enthusiastic. Wolf King jumped and landed on Qin Feiyong's shoulder, roaring in high spirits. Let's go out and do something big. What should we do? Qin Feiyong asked. Kill everyone above the War King level. Wolf King's ferocious nature erupted. Qin Feiyong shook his head and smiled. With a thought, he appeared outside with Fatso and the pangolin. Fatso immediately opened a portal and walked in with Lu Yu. Interesting. The pangolin chuckled and quickly followed. Coincidentally, at this moment, two burly men dressed in wolf skins walked towards them. He has appeared. Leader, come out. As soon as they saw Qin Feiyong, the two of them shouted. In the meantime, his battle chi surged as he activated his fighting soul and charged towards Qin Feiyong. Both of them were 3-star battle kings. An ant trying to shake a tree. Qin Feiyong snorted coldly. He was now a 4-star battle king, and he could easily crush both of them. He struck out with his palm. Red-colored sword chi appeared and transformed into a shocking storm that swept out. The two of them died on the spot. They were minced into pieces by the sword chi, and their blood dyed the sky red. At this moment, He Yuan ran out of the hall. When he saw this scene, he was instantly enraged. Damn bastard, I'm going to kill you. He charged towards Qin Feiyong at lightning speed. His entire body was filled with bone-chilling killing intent. The show has just begun. Qin Feiyong waved his hand and opened a portal. He then turned around and glanced at He Yuan before stepping into it. In the next moment, he appeared in front of the He clan's gate. Leader, he's here. The three men guarding the gate were shocked. As they shouted, they used their battle arts and charged towards Qin Feiyong. You want to kill me with just the three of you? Qin Feiyong pointed his finger at them. Red-colored sword chi surged out like a raging wave. In the blink of an eye, it engulfed the three men. Three cries of agony were heard too. Next, the red-colored sword chi whizzed past. It destroyed the gate of the clan. It shattered the tall fence. The few wooden buildings close to the door instantly collapsed and turned into ruins. 6 burly men dressed in wolf skins rushed out of the ruins. All of them were covered in cuts and bruises and were bleeding profusely. Little bastard, you dare to destroy our clan's gate. Today, even if you have wings, you can't fly away. The 6 men roared and angrily rushed towards Qin Feiyong. 4 of them activated their battle souls. The other 2, although they did not have battle souls, they also took out a pitch-black broadsword. Ayo! Qin Feiyong was about to make a move, but Wolf King rushed out first. He directly activated the Berserker's Fury. Its aura, like a volcanic eruption, soared crazily. It took a step forward and swung its 2 thick claws like 2 arms. His terrifying strength crushed everything in its path. In the blink of an eye, those 6 burly men with painful screams flew out horizontally, blood spurting out of their mouths. Immediately, like 6 blood-stained meteorites, they smashed into several wooden buildings and then never appeared again. A few wooden buildings also collapsed. Damned beast! I'm going to kill you all and avenge them. If you have the guts, don't run today. One by one, people wearing wolf skins rushed over from all directions, all of them brimming with killing intent. Enough to kill 30 to 40 people. Whiz! At the same time, a black shadow broke through the air. It was He Yuan. When he saw the ruins and the corpses lying on the ground, his eyes couldn't help but turn red. Qin Feiyong raised his head and looked, saying, "It's too late to regret now." Regret? Haha, you killed my clansmen, destroyed my clan's gate, and still dare to say such words. You really don't know what's good for you. Let me tell you, the one who regrets today will be you. He Yuan's face was sinister. The pressure completely erupted, enveloping Qin Feiyong and Wolf King. Wolf King said, "His strongest aura is about the same as Elder Wan's." Qin Feiyong nodded and said, "This means that he is a 1-star war emperor. And here I was thinking how strong he was. So it's just so. If there's a perfect opportunity, I can still kill him." Wolf King sneered. The gap between the War King and the War Emperor was not small. If it were anyone else, even the 9-star War King, they would be panicking. They probably wouldn't even have the courage to face He Yuan. But Qin Feiyong and Wolf King were different. When they were still warriors, they had already taken care of the Black Wind stronghold, which had 2 martial masters. Later on, he challenged the Black Bear City's city lord. Later on, he even challenged Xuan, the Danwang Hall of Yen City, and the royal family of Pan County. The Merfolk clans wore master-level elders. There were also the Lu family, Wang family, Zhang family, and so on. It could be said that they had been struggling in adversity all this time. If it were anyone else, they would have already broken down and given up. But they didn't. They grew up step by step and rose up step by step. Moreover, they had tempered their steel-like willpower and fearless spirit. Even if they were facing a war master, they could do it without fear. What's more, it was just a 1-star war emperor. The pressure enveloped Qin Feiyong and Wolf King, and they were both imprisoned. But when he saw that the man and the wolf were not panicking at all, and were even whispering to each other, He Yuan immediately burned with anger. Die! He pointed his index finger in the air. A dazzling battle chi like a graceful swan, streaked across the sky with astonishing destructive power. It arrived in an instant. Boom! Accompanied by a deafening sound, a deep pit suddenly appeared in this place. Cracks spread out in all directions with the deep pit as the center. Billowing dust and smoke covered the sky. The people who were originally rushing towards Qin Feiyong and Wolf King were also sent flying, blood spurting out wildly. But they didn't have the slightest intention of blaming He Yuan, only joy on their faces. They're finally dead. Humph, those who dare to go against our He clan. None of them have a good ending. The spectators in the distance also sneered. He Yuan waved his hand, and a gust of wind blew, blowing away the dust. Other than that deep pit, nothing else could be found. Looks like they've already been smashed to pieces. Definitely. Our leader is a war emperor. If he uses all his strength with their little strength, there will definitely be no bones left. I still wanted to torture them, but it seems like there's no chance. Many people revealed disappointment. If they died like this, it would be too easy for them. Quickly go and fill the pit. He Yuan also smiled contemptuously, and after giving some instructions to the clansmen below, he turned around and flew away. About 10 breaths later, suddenly, a man and a wolf appeared in the deep pit. Those who were about to fill the pit couldn't help but be stunned. Not dead? How was this possible? Oh! Wolf King howled and rushed out of the deep pit like an arrow. It was as if a death god had descended, crazily slaughtering. For a moment, this place was filled with wails. Broken corpses and broken limbs were flying everywhere. Blood dyed the void and earth red. Previously, on the eve of the battle, Qin Feiyong and Wolf King went to the castle. However, the timing was very good. So much so that even He Yuan didn't see them disappear and thought they were already dead. Leader, they're not dead. Save us. Wolf King killed crazily, to the point that the He clan's clansmen were scared out of their wits, to the point that they were like chickens and dogs, fleeing in panic. What? They're actually not dead. Hearing the cry for help, He Yuan's eyes widened in anger, turned in the air, and rushed towards the gate with monstrous anger. At the same time, Qin Feiyong also rushed out of the deep pit, casually dealt with a middle-aged man who was rushing towards him, and then scanned the He clan. Finally, he locked onto He Yuan's residence and his eyes flashed. Just wait to regret it. Qin Feiyong laughed coldly, opened a teleportation gate and shouted, "White-eyed wolf, He Yuan is here, let's go." With that he walked in. Wolf King took care of 3 more people and also ran into the teleportation gate. The teleportation gate quickly dissipated. This time, He Yuan finally rushed over. Seeing the corpses all over the ground, he roared, "Where are they?" Qin Feiyong opened a teleportation gate. "We don't know where they went. Leader, you must kill them and avenge the dead clansmen." Those who were lucky enough to survive all roared in grief and indignation. Damn it! He Yuan roared in exasperation and rushed into the sky, overlooking the entire tribe. However, there was no trace of Qin Feiyong and Wolf King at all. "Get the hell out of here!" He roared again and again, mad with anger. However, he didn't know that a man and a wolf had already entered his residence. In the hall, when the 2 maids saw Qin Feiyong and Wolf King come in, They curled up beside the chair, their faces pale and shivering. Chapter 354. Really? The two maids looked at him with trepidation. I've always been a man of my word. Qin Feiyong smiled and said, Tell me, where is the treasure house? The treasure house. The two maids were shocked. This man was actually thinking about the treasure house. I don't know. We're just nobodies. The leader won't tell us such an important place. The two maids shook their heads in horror. Little Qin Zi doesn't kill women easily. No, I won't kill you on behalf of my cousin. If you don't tell me the truth, I'll eat you. The Wolf King took a step forward and bared its fangs. Its bell-sized eyes flashed with a frightening light. It's behind that wall. The mechanism is in that painting. The two maids were so frightened that they pointed to the wall behind them without thinking and blurted out. That's good. Wolf King chuckled. The man and the wolf looked up and saw a landscape painting hanging on the wall. It was 3 meters long and 1 meter wide. They walked quickly up to the painting. The two maids also collapsed on the ground, their faces pale. How can there be a mechanism in the painting? Wolf King looked up and down at the painting, puzzled. Qin Feiyong was stunned and speechless. Why did your IQ suddenly become so low? Who are you talking about? Your butt is itching again, isn't it? Wolf King glared at him angrily. Didn't the two maids say it clearly? The mechanism was in the painting. Stupid. Qin Feiyong shook his head, reached out, grabbed the landscape painting and pulled it down. Immediately, a secret compartment was revealed. The size of the secret compartment was almost the same as a wash basin. There was a bright-colored jade in it, which was about the size of a palm. So that's how it is. Wolf King suddenly understood and then couldn't help but become angry. He didn't even think of this. He really ruined his reputation. Qin Feiyong shook his head and smiled. He grabbed the jade again and turned it hard. Crack! The wall in front of him split open and automatically moved to the sides. Very soon, a secret chamber appeared in front of the man and the wolf. The secret chamber was more than 10 meters wide. There was a stone platform in the center, and more than 10 cosmos bags were neatly placed on it. Looks like you've saved up quite a bit. Qin Feiyong's eyes lit up and he was about to walk in. However, Wolf King suddenly stretched out his paw and stopped him. He transmitted his voice. There's someone inside. Someone's there? Qin Feiyong frowned. He scanned the empty chamber. Where was there anyone? But suddenly, he looked at the stone platform. The stone platform was 1 meter tall and 2 meters wide. If there really was someone, they must be hiding behind the stone platform. Qin Feiyong secretly took out the Chong Shui and hid it in his sleeve. He used telepathy to say, "Pretend you don't know." Wolf King nodded. There are actually so many Qianquan bags. We've struck it rich this time. It shouted excitedly and ran towards the stone platform. Qin Feiyong also ran in. A man and a wolf came to the stone platform. Qin Feiyong stretched out his hand and grabbed the Qianquan bag. Boom! Sure enough, at this moment, a skinny white-haired old man jumped out from behind the stone platform and slapped at Qin Feiyong with lightning speed. Qin Feiyong raised the corner of his mouth. The hand that was reaching for the Qianquan bag suddenly moved up and collided with the white-haired old man's palm. The return formula reappeared. The two of them retreated at the same time. Their arms were bleeding. But at the same time, Wolf King pounced. It opened its mouth wide, revealing white fangs. Its current size was 5 or 6 meters long. When it opened its mouth, it was enough to swallow the whole person. It bit the white-haired old man's head, and its fangs were as sharp as blades. In just an instant, it bit off the white-haired old man's head. Blood spurted out from the bowl-sized wound. The white-haired old man didn't even have time to scream before he breathed his last. Bah! Wolf King landed on the ground and immediately spat out his head. He swung his tongue and cursed, "It stinks. How long has it been since I washed my hair? It's disgusting." Qin Feiyong took a healing pill and put away the Qianquan bag on the stone platform. He looked at the headless body of the white-haired old man with lingering fear. If he hadn't noticed it in advance, he and Wolf King would have died without a doubt, because this person was the 9-star Battle King. Fortunately, Wolf King's nose was sharp enough and he was lucky enough to escape death. Wolf King chuckled and said, "Little Qin Zi, I saved your life again." Qin Feiyong smiled and said, "Let's record it first." "You can record this?" Wolf King was stunned. "Let's go." Qin Feiyong shook his head and laughed. He turned around and walked out of the secret room, glancing at the hall. The two maids had actually disappeared. "Leader, they're inside." At this moment, the voices of the two maids sounded outside the door. Whoosh! Following closely, a black figure rushed into the hall. Who else could it be but He Yuan? "Retreat!" Qin Feiyong shouted. He rushed to the wall on the left and punched a hole in it. Then, he and the Wolf King ran in one after the other. He Yuan didn't chase after them and rushed straight into the secret room. Seeing the empty stone platform and the white-haired old man's body, his old face suddenly turned ashen. Qin Feiyong and Wolf King were also surrounded at this moment. They were surrounded by people from the He clan. There were more than 80 people, surrounding them so tightly that not even a drop of water could leak out. Those pairs of sinister eyes seemed to want to pull out the tendons, pull out the bones, and crush the man and wolf into ashes. "What do you want? Don't think that I'm afraid of you just because you have more people. If you have the guts, let's fight one-on-one." Wolf King shouted timidly. "Who has the mood to fight one-on-one with you? So what if we bully you because we have more people? Activate your fighting souls." Boom! Powerful auras burst out one after another. One by one, fighting souls rose into the air. There were beast fighting souls, weapon fighting souls, and some rare plant fighting souls. In the blink of an eye, there were more than 60 fighting souls. This was incredible. This was because not everyone was able to awaken a battle spirit after breaking through to the Battle Emperor realm. The success rate was only half. Judging from the current situation, 2/3 of the battle kings of the He clan had activated their fighting souls. This probability was very rare. However, in front of Wolf King without absolute strength, it didn't matter how many fighting souls there were. "Are you sure you want to do this?" Wolf King shrunk his head, feeling a little guilty. "Don't talk nonsense with it. Kill!" Everyone roared in unison. The sound of killing shook the sky. The 60 over battle souls charged towards the man and the wolf in unison. The aura of a single fighting soul was not strong. But when all the fighting souls were combined, the vast momentum made even Qin Feiyong's expression change. The killing intent soared into the sky. "Hey, do you really think I'm afraid of you? Little guy, I'll let you see how powerful I am." Wolf King's eyes were full of disdain, and his previous timidity was swept away. Boom! A shocking aura burst out from his body. A huge golden beast shadow appeared out of thin air, as if the king of all beasts had descended, shaking the entire area. Deprive! Following Wolf King's long roar, the 60 fighting souls flew uncontrollably towards the golden beast shadow. In the blink of an eye, those fighting souls were swallowed by the golden beast shadow in one gulp. What? There's actually such a thing. Oh no, I can't activate my fighting soul. Me too. What's going on? The place was suddenly in chaos. Everyone's face was full of shock and disbelief. This was too ridiculous. How could the fighting souls disappear? He Yuan swear that if I don't kill you, I'm not human. At this moment, an angry roar came out from the secret room. Qin Feiyong's expression changed as he shouted to Wolf King. "Hurry up and kill our way out." "Oh." Wolf King raised his head and howled, his ferocious might unparalleled. One man and one wolf were like two human-shaped Tyrannosaurus Rex, crazily slaughtering their way out. Boom! The wooden building behind them shattered into pieces with an earth-shattering sound. He Yuan rushed out from the ruins. His eyes were bloodshot. Seeing that the man and the wolf were about to break out of the encirclement, He Yuan shouted, "They killed the high priest and stole all our savings. Quickly stop them." What? The high priest was in seclusion in the secret room, and was about to break through to the one-star war emperor. He was actually killed by them? How preposterous! Not only did they strip us of our fighting souls, they also stole our treasures. Even if I have to risk my life, I can't let you escape. Kill! Everyone went crazy. One after another, they pounced on the man and the wolf without caring about their lives. At the same time, He Yuan also rushed towards the man and the wolf, his entire body shrouded in a murderous aura. Not good. Qin Feiyong's expression changed. He grabbed Wolf King and entered the castle without hesitation, temporarily avoiding the danger. Wolf King turned into the size of a palm and jumped onto the iron box that contained the 6-word divine arts. He said with joy, "It seems that we have really driven them crazy." Qin Feiyong let out a long breath and laughed. "Let's rest first, wait for Fatso to send us a message." Wolf King said, "Have you forgotten? The image crystal can't be sent here." "That's right." Qin Feiyong frowned. "That's not right. We can't send a message to Yan Nanshan and Ren Wushuang because they aren't in the Forgotten Land. But Fatso and we are both here. Logically speaking, we should be able to communicate with each other." Qin Feiyong said. Wolf King was stunned and nodded. "It seems to make sense. Why don't you give it a try?" Qin Feiyong took out the image crystal and poured his battle qi into it. In less than 3 breaths, an illusory figure appeared. It was Fatso. Can it really work? Qin Feiyong and the Wolf King stared blankly for a moment before they were overjoyed. As long as they could communicate with each other in the Forgotten Land, it would be much easier to do things in the future. Fatso was also a little surprised. However, with his brain he understood after thinking carefully. He chuckled and said, "Boss, Brother Wolf, are you guys trapped and asking Master Fatty for help? TSK, you think they can trap us? You underestimate me and little Qinzi too much. But you haven't come back for so long, are you in trouble?" "I knew it, Fatso is not reliable, I shouldn't have let you go," Wolf King said disdainfully. "What? Let me tell you, the treasure of the Lu tribe has been obtained. As for now, Fat Lord is teaching those disobedient people a lesson," Fatso said. Wolf King shook his head and sighed. "It turns out that you are still acting tough over there. You really haven't changed." After a pause, Wolf King said lightly, "Let me tell you a piece of good news. We also got the treasure of the He tribe." "What?" When Fatso heard this, he suddenly became excited and roared, "Wait for me when I'm done here, I'll meet you immediately." Chapter 355. The tribe outside was in a mess. The high priest was dead. The treasures were gone. The war soul was also taken away. 40 to 50 war kings had also fallen. The overall strength of the tribe could be said to have plummeted. They searched everywhere for Qin Feiyong and Wolf King. If they didn't take revenge, they wouldn't be human. But after searching the tribe, they couldn't find any trace of the man and the wolf. Where the hell did they go? "Get out here and die." Some people roared. Yuan didn't look for them. He stood at the place where Qin Feiyong disappeared, his eyes flickering. Every time they disappeared, they would appear in the same place. This was enough to show that the man and the wolf definitely didn't leave. As long as he waited here, he should be able to find them. With that thought in mind, a strong cold light burst out from his old eyes. But after a long time, he didn't see Qin Feiyong and Wolf King appear. He began to wonder if his judgment was wrong. Had the man and the wolf left long ago? His mind was in a mess. He didn't know if he should continue to wait or go somewhere else to look. Inside the castle, Qin Feiyong pricked up his ears and listened carefully to the movements outside. Wolf King asked, "How is it? Is it safe outside?" "I didn't hear anything. But I'm afraid that Yuan will silently wait outside. After all, we've been in and out several times. Anyone with a bit of brains will be able to find some clues," Qin Feiyong said. Wolf King said, "Don't we have a teleportation gate? Can't we just teleport out?" Qin Feiyong couldn't help but be stunned. He had never tried to teleport out of the castle. However, the castle was an independent space divine object. Could it be directly teleported out? Probably not. He took out a teleportation gate and tried it. The result was that it really couldn't be teleported. Wolf King was a little disappointed. But Qin Feiyong didn't. Everything was within his expectations. Right. As if he suddenly thought of something, he turned his head to look at the Wolf King and asked, "That battle soul of yours, can it be taken away from everyone?" "Of course." Wolf King nodded and said, "But it also depends on the opponent's cultivation." "What do you mean?" Qin Feiyong was suspicious. Wolf King said, "As long as they are in the same realm, I can strip them of their battle souls." Qin Feiyong was shocked and asked, "If you were a 1-star battle king now, Would you still be able to seize the battle soul of a 9-star battle king? That's right. Wolf King nodded and added, however, if the opponent's cultivation has surpassed the battle king realm and reached the battle emperor realm, then it won't work. Suck. Qin Feiyang gasped. Wasn't this too heaven-defying? If Wolf King broke through to the 1-star combat emperor, wouldn't he be able to take away the fighting soul of a 9-star combat emperor? With such a terrifying ability, who would dare to go against it in the future? Wolf King smiled proudly and asked, what are the innate abilities of your 3 war souls? Qin Feiyang smiled and said, don't you always like to keep people in suspense? I will also keep it a secret this time. TCH, it's just 3 broken war souls, what's the big deal? Wolf King's eyes were filled with disdain. Yes, I do have broken war souls, but I have a lot of them, 3 of them. Your war soul is awesome, but unfortunately, there is only 1. This proves that there is still a gap between you and me. Qin Feiyang joked. I'll bite you to death. Wolf King bared his teeth and pounced towards Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang sent it flying with a slap. He said unhappily, alright, stop messing around. Let me think about how to get rid of He Yuan. Although he was not afraid of He Yuan was a 1-star combat emperor and was not easy to deal with. Got it. Suddenly, his eyes lit up. He took out an illusory form pill and threw it into his mouth, turning into a skinny old man with white hair. Wolf King was still brooding over the fact that Qin Feiyang had sent it flying, but when he saw Qin Feiyang's change, he couldn't help but be surprised. Because Qin Feiyang's current appearance was that of the He tribe's high priest. He wanted to use this identity to confuse He Yuan? Was that possible? He Yuan already knew that the high priest was dead. Now that he had turned into the high priest, if he went out and was seen by He Yuan, he would definitely be suspicious. It wouldn't work. Qin Feiyang laughed. I'm not trying to confuse him. I'm just trying to distract him. As long as he's distracted, we'll have a chance to launch a sneak attack. At the same time, he took out Chang Shui and threw it to Wolf King, saying seriously, I'll leave the mission of the sneak attack to you. You must kill him in 1 hit. Wolf King hesitated for a moment, then nodded. All right, big brother will fight it out with him. Qin Feiyang took out another rib and lowered his head to look at it, his eyes shining. Although this thing couldn't compare to Chang Shui, it was undeniable that it was also a treasure. It was perfect to use it as a bludgeon. Putting the rib into the leader's body, he turned to the Wolf King and asked, Are you ready? Attack at any time. Wolf King's eyes flickered with a cold light. Qin Feiyang smiled coldly and appeared outside in an instant. He Yuan was about to lose his patience and was about to go somewhere else. But suddenly, he sensed an aura appear. I've been waiting for you for a long time. Killing intent crawled up from his eyes, and without hesitation, he turned around and punched out. However, just as he turned around, he immediately braked and stopped, his old face instantly filled with bewilderment. High Priest? Wasn't he dead? Driven by instinct, He Yuan turned his head to look at the wooden building behind him that had already turned into ruins. He had clearly seen with his own eyes that the high priest had died in that secret room, so why did he suddenly appear again? Not good. It must be Qin Feiyang, who had disguised himself as the high priest, trying to pass himself off as a fake. He Yuan was not stupid and immediately thought of this. But just as he thought of this, Qin Feiyang quickly took out the rib. Grabbing one end with both hands, he used it as a stick and smashed it towards He Yuan's head. At the same time, with a thought, Wolf King also appeared out of thin air. Its 2 rows of steel teeth were biting Chang Shui's hilt, and the tip of the blade was pointed forward. At this moment, Wolf King was like the shaft of an arrow, and Chang Shui was like the tip of the arrow. The wolf and the dagger fused together and transformed into a bone-piercing arrow. As soon as it came out, it shot towards He Yuan's lower abdomen. In the blink of an eye, He Yuan had just turned around when the hard rib smashed into his head. Bang! Ah! At this moment, He Yuan saw stars and howled in pain. Damn it! It's really you! Go to hell! He roared and raised his hand to slap Qin Feiyang's head. If he was hit, Qin Feiyang's head would definitely explode on the spot. But at this moment, Wolf King and Chang Shui arrived. Chang Shui was invincible and easily broke through He Yuan's lower abdomen. pierced through his chi and swept out from behind. Immediately, a palm-sized bloody hole appeared on He Yuan's lower abdomen, penetrating from front to back. A glaring stream of blood spurted out from the hole. A heart-wrenching pain suddenly swept over. What's going on? He Yuan lowered his head to look. When he saw the bloody hole, his old eyes were filled with deep disbelief. Two mere war kings actually had the ability to break through his lower abdomen and chi? Was he dreaming? At the next moment, he couldn't help but scream. At the same time, Qin Feiyang and Wolf King also retreated. While He Yuan screamed, he turned to look at Wolf King. Seeing the dagger in Wolf King's mouth, his face immediately became twisted and ferocious. Without a doubt, it was that dagger that broke through his lower abdomen and chi. But this was too unbelievable. What level of dagger was that? How could it be so terrifying? I'm going to kill you. He Yuan roared hysterically and rushed towards Wolf King. I'll go. Your chi is crippled, and you still have the strength to run. However, you're a cripple now. Do you think I'm afraid of you? Wolf King rushed towards He Yuan with disdain in his eyes. However, He Yuan didn't manage to run 2 steps before he fell to the ground with a bang. He was no longer able to get up. His consciousness was also being rapidly devoured by the darkness. Ugh! Wolf King was stunned for a moment, then ran in front of He Yuan's head and laughed. Before you die, try my holy water first. That moment, a stream of urine sprayed out and all of it splashed on He Yuan's face. He Yuan gritted his teeth and said sternly, Bastard, I won't let you go even if I become a ghost. Hey! Wolf King laughed. Wait until you become a ghost. My holy water is extremely rare, have a good taste. He Yuan spat out a mouthful of blood. Bastard, can you be any more shameless? This time, Qin Feiyang also came in front of He Yuan and said indifferently, Tell me the coordinates of the Purple Sun tribe, maybe I can save your life. Chi Si was crippled. As long as his heart and head were fine, he would not necessarily die. As long as he took the healing pill in time, there was still a chance to save his life. But he needed a high-level healing pill. Ordinary healing pill did not have this ability. However, even if he could save his life, he would be a cripple for the rest of his life and would not be able to continue cultivating. Because there was no way to repair a broken Chi Si. Can you save your life? He Yuan was stunned and said with a grim smile, If you can't cultivate, living will only be more painful. I won't tell you, you can take your time to find it. Is that so? Qin Feiyang took out a top-grade healing pill with 2 elixir veins and stuffed it into He Yuan's mouth. The bloody hole in his lower abdomen immediately healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. Qin Feiyang sneered. Now it's not that easy for you to die even if you want to. If you are willing to tell me, I will give you a quick death. What kind of healing pill is this? The effect is actually so strong. He Yuan's face was full of disbelief. Qin Feiyang lost his patience and shouted, Are you going to tell me or not? He Yuan laughed sinisterly. I won't tell you even if you kill me. If you have any means, just come at me. Qin Feiyang's face turned cold, got up and grabbed Chang Shui, and said to Wolf King, Torture him until he tells you. It's a piece of cake. The Wolf King laughed mischievously and immediately attacked, using everything he had. Immediately, He Yuan's blood-curdling screams resounded in this place. Let go of the leader. At this time, a large group of people rushed over aggressively. They were all War King. Whoever dares to move, I'll kill them. Qin Feiyang turned his head and swept his gaze over them. That bone-chilling gaze caused their bodies and minds to tremble. Chapter 356. Their hearts were filled with fear. But more than that, they were in disbelief. They were already very shocked when they killed the high priest. But they never thought that even their leader would fall at their hands. Their leader was a genuine war emperor. The methods of this man and wolf were too heaven-defying. Wang. At this moment, Qin Feiyang's image crystal moved. It was a message from Fatso. He asked Qin Feiyang for the coordinates. When Qin Feiyang told Fatso the coordinates, in less than 3 breaths, Fatso and the pangolin appeared beside him out of thin air. Not bad. Even this old thing was crippled by you. Amazing. Fatty and the pangolin couldn't help but laugh strangely when they saw He Yuan lying on the ground being tortured by the Wolf King. Qin Feiyong asked, "How's the situation at the Lu tribe?" Fatso sneered. "Even the War King has been killed by us." Qin Feiyong nodded and said, "Let's go and help." "That's what I was thinking." The fatty grinned evilly as he rubbed his fists and walked towards He Yuan. The pangolin rolled its eyes and jumped onto Qin Feiyong's shoulder, saying, "There's no good bird around you. You're not a good bird either." Qin Feiyong rolled his eyes. The pangolin said angrily, "Don't talk nonsense. This king is a gentleman. These two idiots can't be compared to this king." Qin Feiyong's face twitched as he cursed. Shameless. Wolf King and Fatso were already narcissistic enough, but this guy was even more narcissistic than them. With Fatso's addition, He Yuan's screams became even more miserable. He even wanted to bite his tongue and commit suicide, but Wolf King didn't give him the chance at all. It's not that easy to die. Once, there were two idiots like you who came to provoke us recklessly. In the end, you were tortured by me for 2 to 3 days. That feeling was really satisfying. Wolf King chuckled. The two people it was talking about were Wang Fei and Zheng Chuan, who were plotting against Lu Hong. 2 or 3 days. The moment He Yuan heard, he could not help feeling chills all over his body. He hurriedly said, "You all quickly stop. I'll tell everything." "Then say it," Fatso shouted. He Yuan said, "Ziyang tribe is too far away from here. I don't know the coordinates." Wolf King said angrily, "If you don't know, then why are you still pretending?" He Yuan hurriedly said, "Although I don't know, I know of a place where someone definitely knows the coordinates of Ziyang tribe." "Stop," Qin Feiyong said. Wolf King's paw landed on He Yuan's crotch. "Roar." He Yuan immediately let out a miserable howl like a pig being slaughtered. Fatso also kicked him a few times, and then retreated to the side with Wolf King. Qin Feiyong said, "Hurry up and tell me, where is it?" He Yuan endured the pain and said, "White Fox City." Qin Feiyong said, "Be more specific." He Yuan said, "White Fox City is the only city within 1,000 miles, and the city lord is a 2-star war emperor." Next, he told Qin Feiyong about the situation and the coordinates of White Fox City. After listening, Qin Feiyong looked at Fatso and said, "Give him a quick death." Fatso took a step forward and ended He Yuan's life. "Leader." The surrounding He tribe members all cried out in grief. "Let me give you a piece of advice. If you don't want to follow in the footsteps of the Lu tribe, then behave yourself." Qin Feiyong opened a teleportation gate and brought Fatso, Wolf King, and the pangolin beast in, leaving behind a bone-chilling sentence. White Fox City. This was an ancient city with a very long history, but it wasn't big, about the same size as the Black Bear City. With Qin Feiyong's cultivation, it would only take a few hundred breaths of time to cross White Fox City. There was a dense forest outside the city. The dense forest was covered in snow, and a few figures appeared out of thin air beside a big tree. It was Qin Feiyong and his group. There were a few fierce beasts hunting nearby. When they saw them, they pounced forward. Scram! Wolf King roared, and a terrifying might pressed down. The ferocious beasts immediately fled. Qin Feiyong looked around, then looked at Fatso and said, "There's nothing much to do now. You go to the castle first and sort out these Qiankuan bag." He took out the dozen or so Qiankuan bag. Fatso grabbed it in his hand, his eyes shining with green light. Although the He tribe only had one war emperor, it was still the He tribe's many years of savings, so there must be a lot of valuable treasures. Qin Feiyong waved his hand and sent Fatso into the castle. The pangolin looked at Wolf King sneakily and said, "Let me in too. Don't even think about it. Grow up immediately and take me and little Qin Zi into the city." Wolf King shouted, "What? I'm a beast king, and you want me to be your mount? I'm telling you, don't go too far." The pangolin said angrily. Wolf King joked, "What, you're not convinced? Come on, let's compete." "Okay, you're awesome." The pangolin glared at him fiercely. A wise man knows better than to fight when the odds are against him. It changed back to its true form. Its 5 or 6 meters long body exuded an astonishing ferocious aura. "This?" Qin Feiyong hesitated for a moment, then jumped onto the pangolin's back. Wolf King stood on top of the pangolin's head. waved his claws in front of him, and shouted in high spirits, "Let's go. You can be proud of yourself. Sooner or later I'll teach you a lesson." The pangolin snorted coldly and ran out of the dense forest with heavy steps, making loud thumping sounds. The ground was shaking, and it left footprints that were 1 foot deep. The snow on the surrounding trees fell in patches. Wherever it passed, the ferocious beasts it encountered fled in panic like birds startled by the twang of a bough. What's going on? Why is there such a big commotion? Is it a beast tide? The people hunting in the forest also turned pale with fright. Wolf King shouted, "Be quiet. Are you afraid that others won't know we're here?" The pangolin said angrily, "Can you not ask for so much? How dare you talk back?" Wolf King was furious. He slapped its head with his claws, and the pangolin jumped in pain. The commotion became louder. "It must be a beast tide. Let's go and take a look." One figure after another rushed over from all directions. Sensing those auras, Qin Feiyang couldn't help but frown. Then he jumped down and landed on the ground, saying, "Both of you, go and stay on my shoulder." The pangolin was as if it had been granted amnesty. It instantly turned into the size of a palm and landed on Qin Feiyang's left shoulder. "Bastard, I told you to do it on purpose." Wolf King angrily jumped up and slapped the pangolin, flying with a claw. It crashed into a big tree and its body was about to fall apart. It got up in a sorry state and looked at Wolf King angrily. "If you continue like this king will become angry. If you have the guts, then come. A little follower should have the awareness of a little follower. If you dare to do this again, I will directly cripple you." Wolf King coldly snorted. "I'll endure it." The pangolin took a deep breath, walked in front of Qin Feiyang, and jumped onto his right shoulder. Qin Feiyang frowned. It seemed that he couldn't let these two little fellows stay together too often. Otherwise they would fight sooner or later. Whoosh! At this moment, a few middle-aged men took the lead and arrived at this place. They glanced at Qin Feiyang and then looked elsewhere. One of them asked, "Kid, what was that commotion just now?" More and more people came, all of their faces full of surprise. "I don't know either." Qin Feiyang shrugged his shoulders and strode away. "Stop!" A young man around 25 or 26 years old wearing a leopard skin suddenly shouted, "What's the matter?" Qin Feiyang stopped and turned to look at the young man in leopard skin. The young man in leopard skin walked to a footprint left by the pangolin. After carefully observing it for a moment, he gradually frowned. He raised his head to look at the other footprints, and then looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "You said you don't know, then what's going on with these footprints?" "How would I know? Besides, what does it have to do with me?" After Qin Feiyang finished speaking, he turned around and continued to walk forward. The young man in leopard skin shouted, "If you don't explain it clearly, you can't leave." Whoosh! Immediately more than 10 people blocked Qin Feiyang's path. These people were men and women, all of them middle-aged. Their bodies were stained with blood, and the smell of blood was pungent. Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows and said, "I'm curious, why are you blocking me?" "Because the commotion just now came from you. Our prey was scared away by the commotion. You happen to be here, who else should we look for if not you? Tell us, is it related to you?" The people around shouted. The young man in leopard skin suddenly noticed the pangolin on Qin Feiyang's shoulder, and his eyes flashed. He looked at Qin Feiyang again and sneered, "Don't ask everyone. The commotion just now was caused by the small beast on his shoulder." "Hey, why is it so small? Did they all take the transformation pill?" Everyone looked at it, and they were very surprised. The transformation pill was very expensive, and there were not many in White Fox City who could afford it. And this person was a stranger. He should be someone from somewhere else. Wasn't this a good opportunity to blackmail? An old woman in a green robe walked out and said in a hoarse voice, "Although the pangolin is small, the shape of its hooves and footprints are exactly the same. It must be them." Hooves! The pangolin was already full of anger, and when it heard the word, it was furious and shouted, "Old witch, I dare you to say that again." "Hey! It can speak?" Everyone was stunned. The value of the bottleneck-breaking pill was almost on par with the transformation pill. This young man must be a rich man. The old woman in the green robe's eyes flashed coldly. She looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "Boy, what's your name, and where are you from?" Before blackmailing, he had to find out the other party's identity. Otherwise, it would be bad luck if he ran into an iron plate. Qin Feiyong frowned. It seemed that today was not going to be kind. He glared at the pangolin and Wolf King fiercely. If it weren't for these two bastards, he wouldn't have encountered such trouble. After a moment of silence, Qin Feiyong said, "I'm from the Purple Sun tribe." "What? The Purple Sun tribe?" The surrounding people were shocked. "Everyone, don't be fooled by him. He's not from the Purple Sun tribe, because the Purple Sun tribe is too far from here. It's impossible to come here without a few years." The young man in leopard skin sneered with a trace of mockery in his eyes. Qin Feiyong turned to look at the young man in leopard skin and said indifferently, "Don't you know that there's something called the teleportation gate? What's wrong with this person? He kept getting in the way. Did he have a grudge against him?" Chapter 357. The young man in leopard skin said, "Stop quibbling. You're not from the Zsun tribe at all." Qin Feiyong said, "How can you be so sure?" The young man in leopard skin sneered. "Of course I'm sure. You can fool others but you can't fool me." Qin Feiyong frowned. That's not right. Why did he feel that this person knew him very well? Could he be from the He tribe or the Lu tribe? The old woman in green robe said. Since Ding Ming said no, then he's definitely not from the Zsun tribe. Ding Ming? Qin Feiyong was stunned. It seemed that this person was not from the He tribe or the Lu tribe. "Kid, you actually dare to bluff us. You've got guts. We won't make things difficult for you. 1 million gold coins each. Hand over the gold coins and we'll let you go. But if you don't hand it over, don't even think about walking out of this forest alive." Everyone's eyes were cold. 1 million. Qin Feiyong was stunned and glanced at them one by one. There were about 50 people around him. 1 million per person was only 50 million. To him, 50 million was just a drop in the ocean. However, man's greed knows no bounds. If he really gave it to them now, these people would definitely demand an exorbitant price. Putting all this aside, at present no one could take half a gold coin from him, unless he was willing. Qin Feiyong's eyes flashed coldly and said, "White-eyed wolf, pangolin, go test their strength. I've been waiting for you to say that." The two beasts rushed out from his shoulders at the same time. Boom! Their small bodies expanded in the wind and instantly changed back to their true forms. They were both 5 to 6 meters long and had white fangs that shone with a shocking cold light. So big. Their aura is also very strong. The 50 people were shocked. "What are you afraid of? We have so many people. Do you believe that we can't kill them?" Ding Ming shouted. "That's right. If you want to make a fortune, you have to be willing to risk your life. No one will give it to you. Everyone, come with me." The old woman in green robe roared and her aura exploded. She took the lead and rushed toward the Wolf King and Pangolin. She was a 5-star battle king. The others also unleashed their auras and pounced towards them. For a moment, the place was filled with snowflakes. "Brother Wolf, I'll leave that old witch to you." Seeing this, the pangolin turned around and charged at the others. The green-robed old woman was a 5-star battle king, while it was a 4-star battle king. Although there was only a difference of 1 level between them, it was very likely that the green-robed old woman still had more battle arts. Therefore, it wisely chose to leave this heavyweight opponent to Wolf King to deal with. However, it specifically targeted those who were weaker than it. Useless. Wolf King glared at it in disdain and instantly activated Berserk Rage. The bird that sticks out gets shot. Haven't you heard of that? Apart from the young man in leopard skin, this old witch was the most arrogant one. Wolf King naturally wouldn't show mercy to such a person. It rushed in front of the green-robed old woman and waved its claws. Before the green-robed old woman could react, she was sent flying with a shrill scream. What a strong force! It has a battle art. The green-robed old woman's face was full of regret. If she had known this would happen, she wouldn't have used her brain. She flew more than 30 meters away and smashed into a huge stone door the size of a house. She spat out a mouthful of blood and died on the spot. As for the boulder, it also shattered into pieces. What? A 5-star battle king was killed in an instant. Everyone was shocked by this scene. Everyone looked at the Wolf King, their eyes filled with unresolvable fear. "I'll kill it." At this moment, a burly man dressed in tiger skin jumped out and walked towards the Wolf King with a bold and decisive manner. His aura was very strong. He was a 6-star battle king, and also the strongest among these people. Frost Arrow. When he was 5 meters away from Wolf King, the burly man in tiger skin waved his fan-like hand, and the surrounding snow rose into the air. In the blink of an eye, numerous ice arrows were formed in front of him. It was densely packed in a large area. They flickered with an astonishing sharpness. "Die, you bastard!" As the burly man in tiger skin roared, the frost arrows pierced through the air and shot toward Wolf King. There are so many people who aren't afraid of death. Wolf King grinned and rushed forward, his 2 claws dancing wildly. Crack! Those seemingly sturdy frost arrows shattered like dead wood. This is so strong. The burly man in tiger skin's expression suddenly changed, and his eyes were filled with fear. However, when the last frost arrow shattered, his entire body and mind were drowned in fear. Plop! He collapsed weakly on the snowy ground. He didn't even have the courage to continue fighting. His eyes were filled with despair. "Aren't you very powerful? Want to kill me? Come, get up. How dare you be so arrogant with your little strength?" Wolf King stood in front of him. His bell-like eyes were filled with disdain. The burly man in tiger skin quivered and begged, "Lord Wolf, please spare my life." But before he could finish speaking, the Wolf King swung its paw back and smashed his head into pieces. "Even he is dead. How strong is that wolf?" The others were scared out of their wits. They didn't have the desire to continue fighting. At the same time, the young man in leopard skin also looked at Wolf King and frowned. "He's so strong? It seems that we can't get rid of them today." He muttered to himself and glanced at Qin Feiyong. Then, he quietly retreated into the forest behind him. However, he didn't know that although Qin Feiyong was scanning the battlefield, he had been paying attention to him. So Qin Feiyong noticed him immediately. Qin Feiyong said telepathically, "White-eyed wolf, pangolin, hurry up, don't leave a single one alive." Understood. The Wolf King responded and charged at the others like a ferocious beast. Corpses fell down one after another. Blood splattered everywhere. The snow here was dyed red, and the smell of blood was pungent. Soon there were only a dozen people left. The pangolin's methods were also extremely cruel. Those who were killed by it didn't have an intact corpse. There were even a few people who were trampled into meat paste by its foot. We're no match for them. Run! The dozen or so people who were still alive were scared out of their wits and fled in panic. However, there were also a few people who were relatively calm. "Let's go and capture that kid. As long as we capture him, no matter how strong those 2 beasts are, they won't be able to cause any trouble." "I have the same idea. He looks like he's only 17 or 18 years old. He's definitely not strong. Let's go." The 2 middle-aged men acted in unison and rushed towards Qin Feiyong. Both of them were 3-star battle kings. Moreover, they both had low-grade martial skills and were quite strong. But obviously they had bumped into an iron plate this time. Qin Feiyong raised the corner of his mouth and turned to look at the 2 men. "Kid, if you want to live, then obediently submit to capture." The 2 men sneered and reached out their hands to grab Qin Feiyong's arm. They didn't even use their battle chi. It could be said that they were looking down on him. "You'll have to pay the price for looking down on others," Qin Feiyong muttered. His gaze suddenly turned cold. He stretched out his hands and clenched them into fists. Battle chi covered his fists and he fiercely punched the 2 men's lower abdomens. "Ah!" The 2 men screamed and were instantly sent flying, crashing into the snow. How could this be? Even he was so strong? The 2 men were in deep disbelief. Their heads tilted and they died on the spot. At the same time, Wolf King and the pangolin were also dealt with by those who were escaping. The ground was littered with broken corpses and severed limbs. Blood dyed the ground red for hundreds of meters. This place was like an Azura hell. It was terrifying. Wolf King and the pangolin were also dripping with blood. They were like 2 killing gods with monstrous ferocity. Wolf King ran over and said proudly, "Little Qin Zi, you're quite efficient, aren't you?" The pangolin said disdainfully, I just killed a few hypocritical humans. What's there to show off? Wolf King glared and said angrily, are you fucking looking for a beating? I'm a well-mannered and cultured pangolin. I won't bicker with a shameless person like you. The pangolin shook its head and turned into the size of a palm. It quickly jumped onto Qin Feiyang's shoulder. Well-mannered and cultured? Wolf King was stunned when he heard this. When he came back to his senses, he was furious. This bro has a bad temper. If I don't beat you to death today, I'll walk backwards in the future. It also turned into the size of a palm. With raging anger, it slapped at the pangolin with its claws. However, Qin Feiyang reached out and grabbed Wolf King. He frowned and said, stop fooling around. There's still one more person to be dealt with. Who? Wolf King and the pangolin looked around in surprise. But they didn't see anyone. What are you looking for? I'm talking about that person called Ding Ming. He's really rotten wood. Qin Feiyang was helpless. Ding Ming? Why didn't you kill him? The two beasts looked at Qin Feiyang in confusion. I feel that he seems to know me very well, so he didn't do anything. I'd like to see who he is. Qin Feiyang turned around and looked behind the forest. Ding Ming had already disappeared. However, he left a complete footprint on the snow. The two beasts stayed on Qin Feiyang's shoulder. Qin Feiyang followed the footprints and chased all the way. 100 breaths later, he finally saw Ding Ming in front of him. But he didn't make a sound and just hung behind silently. But in the end, Ding Ming didn't want to go anywhere else. Instead, he took a big detour, ran out of the dense forest, and rushed toward a city in front of him. That was White Fox City. The ancient city wall was more than 10 meters high and covered with snow. The buildings in the city were also covered with a thick layer of snow. At a glance, it was all snow white. Wolf King suddenly asked Little Qin Zi, is there any place in the Great Qin Empire where it snows all year round? Qin Feiyang said, there must be, and there are a lot of them. Wolf King said, is it possible that the Forgotten Land is one of those places? I don't know. Qin Feiyang shook his head. He dared to say other things, but he really didn't dare to be sure about this. Wolf King pondered for a moment and said, have you thought about a problem? How can we go back? Yes, that old witch didn't tell us how to go back. Are we going to be trapped here for the rest of our lives? The pangolin said in surprise, it's useless to worry now. That old woman sent us here. She must have a way to go back. Let's wait until we find the flame of heavenly thunder. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Although he was talking to Wolf King and the others, his eyes were always on Ding Ming. Chapter 358. At the gate of the city, two burly men stood straight like javelins. They were both wearing a trench coat made of the fur of a black panther. They looked very impressive. The Wolf King sighed. The ferocious beasts living here are really miserable. Yes. Along the way, all the humans we met, no matter strong or weak, were wearing animal fur coats. If this continues, the beasts of the Forgotten Zone will be extinct sooner or later. The pangolin said, somewhat indignant. Why could humans kill beasts wantonly like this? Qin Feiyang laughed. Extinction is a bit too serious. A beast fur coat can be worn for many years. The pangolin said, then you should also get one. There are ready-made ones here. Where is there ready-made ones? Why didn't I see them? Wolf King looked around suspiciously. The pangolin chuckled. Isn't it on your body? Wolf King was stunned, and suddenly his eyes revealed a fierce light, looking at the pangolin unkindly. The pangolin shrank his neck and hurriedly said, a gentleman uses his mouth, not his fists. Wolf King smirked. I like to be a villain, so what? The two little guys began to pinch each other again. Qin Feiyang couldn't help but feel a headache, and said angrily, can you give me some peace and quiet? Seeing Qin Feiyang angry, Wolf King and the pangolin immediately became obedient. But they still stared at each other. Stop! Just as Qin Feiyang was about to enter the city, the two city guards looked at him, raised their eyebrows and blocked in front of Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang was stunned and asked doubtfully, what's the matter, two big brothers? Were you the ones who killed people in the dense forest over there? One of the burly men asked. He had a black mole the size of a pellet on the left side of his face. Qin Feiyong raised his eyebrows. When Ding Ming entered the city just now, he didn't greet these two people. He hadn't even spoken a single word, so how did these two know? The mole man said, "Don't try to quibble. When you were killing people, someone saw it with their own eyes from afar. So there are still fish that escape the net." Qin Feiyong mumbled and said with a smile, "Two big brothers, we were also forced to kill them." "Is that so?" The two of them sneered. "Yeah, they joined hands to blackmail me. What can I do?" Qin Feiyong looked helpless. They were indeed in the wrong to extort you. However, you shouldn't have killed them all. Do you know what kind of impact your actions will have on White Fox City? The two of them shouted. Wolf King said telepathically, "Little Qin Zi, hurry up. Ding Ming is about to disappear." Qin Feiyong looked at the streets of the city. Ding Ming had reached a crossroad and was walking to the right. "What are you looking at? Do you think we don't exist?" The two burly men said angrily. They were very unhappy with the feeling of being ignored. The pangolin said telepathically, "Damn it, they are simply courting death. Don't be impulsive. These two just want some benefits. Problems that can be solved with money are not problems." Qin Feiyong secretly sneered. He took out 200 gold coins and handed them to the two men, saying with a smile, "This is a small gift from me." The two men's eyes lit up, but when they glanced at the 200 gold coins, they frowned again. "That's all? Are you trying to dismiss beggars?" The two men sneered. "Oh, are you not satisfied?" Wolf King's eyes flashed fiercely. Qin Feiyong also raised his eyebrows and said, "I'm alone and don't have much savings. Please don't mind." "Is that so? Then show me your Cosmos bag." The burly man with moles stretched out his hand in front of Qin Feiyong and looked at Qin Feiyong arrogantly. "You want to search my Cosmos bag?" The smile on Qin Feiyong's face was instantly replaced by frost. "You really don't want face. Do you still want it or not?" He casually tossed 200 gold coins to the two of them, then turned around and walked into the city. "What? How dare you be so arrogant here?" The people coming in and out all looked at Qin Feiyong in shock. The two burly men's faces were also livid. Although their strength was not very good, they had support. After guarding the city gate for so long, no one had ever dared to say a word to them loudly, not to mention throwing gold coins at them and humiliating them. "Stop right there." The two men shouted at the same time. Qin Feiyong turned a deaf ear. "I told you to stop, didn't you hear me?" The burly man with moles rushed behind Qin Feiyong in anger and immediately slapped him. However, Qin Feiyong was indifferent, as if he did not notice. The slap was about to land on his head. At this moment, the Wolf King waved its little paw and slapped the burly man's wrist, directly slapping the man's hand away. "You still dare to fight back?" The burly man with moles was furious. Battle Chi appeared in his palm and he slapped toward the Wolf King. "One-star Battle King?" The Wolf King was stunned, and his eyes were filled with sarcasm. Why were there so many people who didn't know what was good for them? Boom! It waved its paw. The golden Battle Chi rolled out like a torrent. "Ah!" The burly man with moles screamed and was sent flying on the spot. In just an instant, his skin and flesh were lacerated and he was dripping with blood. With a bang, he hit the city wall and then fell to the ground, unable to get up. It actually hurt the city guards. The surrounding crowd was dumbfounded. The other city guard stood at the city gate and saw this scene. His mouth was wide open and he was filled with disbelief. "Take the 200 gold coins as money to buy healing pills for you," Qin Feiyong said without turning his head and rushed toward the crossroad. Throughout the whole process, he did not even turn back to look at the two guards. The guard at the city gate ran to the burly man with moles and asked, "Are you okay?" "It's nothing serious." The burly man with moles shook his head. He climbed up in a sorry state and raised his head to look at Qin Feiyong's back. His eyes flashed with a terrifying murderous light. "You stay here and watch. I'll go find the captain and let him suffer a fate worse than death." After the burly man with moles said this, he dragged his heavily injured body and quickly disappeared into the crowd. At this moment, Qin Feiyong also came to the center of the crossroad and turned to look at the street on the right. The streets were crowded with people and carriages, but Ding Ming was nowhere to be found. The pangolin said angrily, Those two guards are really in the way. Hey! Wolf King laughed and said, don't you claim to be a gentleman? Why are you still scolding people? The pangolin snorted coldly. A gentleman also has times when he gets angry. Forget it, with your shameless character. You won't understand even if I tell you. Wolf King said disdainfully, I don't understand, but as long as I'm here, Ding Ming can't run away. The pangolin was stunned and said, that's right, your nose is more sensitive than a dog's. You're courting death. Wolf King was angry. What he hated most was people comparing his neck with a dog's nose. He jumped up and landed in front of the pangolin like lightning, and directly slapped the pangolin away with his paw. Ruffian wolf, this king and you are irreconcilable. The pangolin roared again and again, startling everyone on the street. They all looked at it. A beast that could talk? Everyone surrounded it in surprise. This is what happens when you talk dirty. Wolf King snorted and clapped his paws. Qin Feiyong pushed the crowd and walked in front of the pangolin. He said helplessly, can you guys stop? The pangolin said angrily, it's not my fault, you should scold Ruffian Wolf. What did you say? Wolf King's eyes flashed fiercely. These few times it was the pangolin who started the trouble first and now it was blaming it? Enough. You're all my masters. Masters, can you give me some face? Qin Feiyong's face was filled with anger. He really wanted to slap them. The pangolin smiled embarrassedly. It did not dare to be this fierce person's master. Although it had not known Qin Feiyong for long, it already knew his character. Although he looked very easy to talk to now, if he really got angry, it would definitely not end well. As a person, one had to know how to observe people's expressions. As a beast, it had to know when to stop. It jumped onto Qin Feiyong's right shoulder and lay there obediently, like an obedient baby. Qin Feiyong shook his head helplessly and said to Wolf King, quickly track Ding Ming. Hypocrite. Wolf King stared at the pangolin, sniffed carefully and said, go straight. Qin Feiyong looked at the crowd in front of him and said with a smile, please make way. The people retreated to the sides and made a path. But a young woman in her teens did not move aside and blocked the path. She was wearing a snow-white mink fur coat. She was about 1.7 meters tall with delicate facial features, slim clothes, and a blush on her cheeks in the cold weather. Her fine black hair was tied up high with an exquisite jade hairpin inserted into it, revealing her extraordinary background. Because the jade hairpin, whether in terms of workmanship or quality, could be regarded as the best. Ordinary people could not afford it at all. She looked at Wolf King curiously, her big eyes shining with a strange light. Qin Feiyong asked, Miss, what's the matter? The woman in mink fur stretched out her slender finger and pointed at the Wolf King. Sell it to me. Qin Feiyong frowned and was about to refuse. But Wolf King said first, no need to ask him, just tell me, what can you give me? If I'm satisfied, I'll abandon the dark and join the light, and follow you in the future. It laughed sinisterly. Abandon the dark and join the light? Qin Feiyong's face twitched. The woman in mink fur's eyes lit up, and she looked at Wolf King and said, as long as you follow me, you can have whatever you want. Wolf King asked, really? I'm a woman of my word. The woman in mink fur nodded. Wolf King laughed and said, I want to go to the Purple Sun Tribe, do you have a way? Why are you going to the Purple Sun Tribe? The woman in mink fur was shocked. The surrounding crowd also began to discuss in low voices, their eyes filled with bewilderment. Wolf King said, don't ask so many questions, just tell me, do you have a way? The woman in mink fur said, of course, my father knows the coordinates of the Purple Sun Tribe. Qin Feiyong's eyes lit up. He thought that it would take a lot of effort to find the coordinates of the Purple Sun Tribe, but he did not expect to find it as soon as he entered White Fox City. Chapter 359. Wolf King was also overjoyed and jumped onto the shoulder of the woman in mink fur. Then, it began to fish for information. But Wolf King and the woman in mink fur were communicating with each other through telepathy, so no one else could hear them. The pangolin looked at Wolf King and then at Qin Feiyong. Seeing that there was a hint of a smile in Qin Feiyong's eyes, it used telepathy and asked in confusion, Qin Feiyong, is there something wrong with your head? Qin Feiyong was stunned and asked, what do you mean? The pangolin said, Ruffian Wolf is about to betray us, and you're still laughing? Betray us? Qin Feiyong was stunned and said with a smile, "Don't worry, it won't betray us. You're so confident." The pangolin was surprised. "You won't understand my friendship with Ruffian Wolf." Qin Feiyong smiled faintly. At this moment, Wolf King suddenly shouted, "Little girl Meng, aren't you being too insincere? Forget it. I'll continue to follow little Qin Zi." After that, Wolf King jumped and landed on Qin Feiyong's shoulder. The woman in mink fur frowned. Qin Feiyong said through telepathy, "How is it? Did you find out?" Wolf King said, "Let's go first, we'll talk later." Qin Feiyong's eyes flashed, and he walked past the woman in mink fur. The woman in mink fur turned to look at Qin Feiyong and frowned. "How many gold coins do you want before you're willing to sell it to me? If it's not willing, what can I do?" Qin Feiyong turned his head and smiled at the woman, then turned around and strode away. "Humph! Wait, you'll soon know the consequences of rejecting me." The woman in mink fur snorted and also left. In the crowd, while chasing Ding Ming, Qin Feiyong asked, "White-eyed wolf, what's going on?" Wolf King said angrily, "That woman insisted that brother go home with her before she told brother the coordinates of the Ziyang tribe." The pangolin said in realization, "So you approached her to get the coordinates?" Wolf King said, "What do you think?" The pangolin said, "I thought you were going to betray me." Betrayal? Wolf King was stunned. He shook his head and said, "What an idiot. In this world anyone could betray Qin Feiyong. Except for Wolf King." The pangolin would not be able to understand the logic behind it in such a short time. Wolf King ignored it and sent his voice. "That woman's background isn't simple at all, what do you mean?" Qin Feiyong said, "Her Ming family is the biggest family in White Fox City. Moreover, her father is the mayor of White Fox City and has the strength of a one-star combat emperor. Her grandfather is even stronger. He's a 3-star combat emperor." Wolf King sent his voice. The pangolin said in surprise, "Doesn't that mean White Fox City belongs to her family?" "You're not stupid." Wolf King glanced at it and said, "White Fox City is under the control of the Meng family, but they don't belong to any tribe. But because of the Meng family's strength, all the tribes within 1,000 miles, including the few big tribes nearby, will give them some face. Also, White Fox City is a gathering place for rogue cultivators. Every day a large number of people come to trade. Therefore, the Meng family has set up a trading pavilion opposite the mayor's mansion. Even the big tribes often come here to buy resources." Wolf King said in one breath. His eyes were serious. The Meng family's influence in White Fox City was too strong. It wouldn't be easy to get the coordinates. The pangolin said, "Only the Meng family knows the coordinates of the Ziyang tribe? Other than the Meng family, no one else knows, including the leaders of the big tribes nearby." Wolf King said, "Why is that?" The pangolin was puzzled. "I heard from the woman that the Ziyang tribe is too far away from here. No one is willing to go there. The Meng family knows the coordinates because the woman's grandfather is an alchemist. He once went to the Sky Thunder City in the Ziyang tribe to buy alchemy recipes." Wolf King said. The pangolin was stunned and asked, "Where is the Sky Thunder City?" Wolf King shook his head and said, "I don't know. I didn't have enough time to inquire about it." He added, "But there is one thing that is very strange." "What is it?" Qin Feiyong and the pangolin were puzzled. Wolf King said, "There is only one alchemist in 1,000 miles. How is that possible?" Qin Feiyong was shocked. There were indeed very few alchemists, but it shouldn't be so pitiful. "It's true. That woman said it herself. Only her grandfather is an alchemist. This is also the main reason why the Meng family can dominate the White Fox City." Wolf King said, "What is the saying of the humans? Oh right, when the tiger is absent, the monkey will be king. I'm afraid this is the Meng family." The pangolin laughed evilly. "We are just passers-by in the Forgotten Land. Whether they are tigers or monkeys, it has nothing to do with us. We just want the coordinates." Qin Feiyong said indifferently, but there was a trace of suspicion in his eyes. Sky Thunder City. Heavenly Thunderflame. Both of them had the word Heavenly Thunder. Could it be related? While he was deep in thought, he came to another fork in the road, glanced at the two streets in front of him and asked, Which direction did Ding Ming go? Wolf King sniffed carefully. Left. We have to hurry. There are too many people on the streets and his smell is getting fainter. I can't tell. Wolf King said. Qin Feiyong frowned and used wind riding steps to speed down. More than 10 breaths passed. Qin Feiyong came to the center of White Fox City. The city lord's mansion was right in front of him. It was more than 20 meters tall and covered in thick snow. Guards stood tall and straight all around. They looked straight ahead with sharp eyes and a murderous aura exuded from their bodies. Opposite the gate of the city lord's mansion, there was a slightly short hall. Similarly, there was a guard every 3 steps and a sentry every 7 steps. The security was extremely tight. There were 3 bold words engraved on the gate of the hall. Trading Pavilion. Many people came in and out in a hurry. Stop! The moment he arrived, Wolf King shouted secretly. Qin Feiyong slammed on the brakes. Wolf King glanced at the city lord's mansion and then at the trading pavilion. His eyes flashed and he said, he entered the trading pavilion. What is he doing in the trading pavilion? The pangolin was puzzled. Let's go take a look and we'll know. Qin Feiyong strode in. Immediately, a young woman of 17 or 18 years old came forward. The young woman looked at Wolf King and the pangolin with a hint of joy in her eyes. It was obvious. Both of these small beasts had consumed the transformation elixir. This also proved that the person in front of her was definitely a rich man. She looked at Qin Feiyong and smiled. Young master, is there anything I can do for you? There's no need to entertain me. I'm just strolling around. Qin Feiyong smiled and walked past the young woman, scanning the hall. A hint of disappointment appeared in the young woman's eyes. But she wasn't discouraged. She walked to Qin Feiyong's side and said with a smile, everyone who comes is a guest. Whether young master wants to buy something or not, I should entertain you well. Qin Feiyong looked at her in surprise and said to Wolf King and the pangolin, you two pay attention. I'll go take a look at the elixirs here. The 2 beasts nodded in agreement. Then they carefully scanned everyone in the hall. Qin Feiyong said to the young woman, take me to see the elixirs. Elixirs? The young woman's eyes lit up and she said with a smile, the elixirs are all on the 2nd floor. Young master, please follow me. There's a 2nd floor? Qin Feiyong was surprised. The young woman was stunned and asked, young master, don't you know? Is this young master's first time in the trading pavilion? Qin Feiyong smiled and said, I've been here a few years ago. It's been too long so I forgot. The young woman suddenly realized and said with a smile, our trading pavilion has a total of 6 floors. The 1st floor only sells some very ordinary things and daily necessities. The 2nd floor sells elixirs and medicinal materials. The 3rd, 4th and 5th floors are a super large auction house. The young woman explained. Qin Feiyong said, what about the 6th floor? The 6th floor is the VIP hall. Only the distinguished guests of the trading pavilion or those who have big deals are qualified to go up. The young woman said. Qin Feiyong nodded. Wolf King said with a voice transmission, little Qin Zi, I can't find Ding Ming. His scent isn't on the 1st floor either. The pangolin said, I didn't see him either. Then let's go to the 2nd floor. Qin Feiyong responded secretly and said to the young woman with a smile, take me to the 2nd floor. Okay. The young woman nodded and led the way in front. After a while, she came to a staircase and walked up quickly. Wolf King's eyes lit up and he said to himself, there's Ding Ming's scent here. I'd like to see who he is. A cold light flashed in Qin Feiyong's eyes. On the 2nd floor it was much quieter. There were only 50 or 60 people in the hall, which was hundreds of miles long. On the ground, there were transparent counters neatly placed. Inside, there were all kinds of medicinal materials and elixirs which were dazzling. There's no one here either? Qin Feiyong glanced at the 50 or 60 people and didn't find Ding Ming. Was he in the auction house? But at this moment, Wolf King said with a voice transmission, Ding Ming's scent is in the hall. How is that possible? Qin Feiyong looked carefully again. Even the staff members. But in the end he didn't see Ding Ming. But why did Wolf King say that Ding Ming's scent was here? Could it be, suddenly? He thought of a possibility. Ding Ming might have changed his appearance. This time, the young woman asked, young master, what kind of elixir do you need? Qin Feiyong smiled and said, "Just take a look." The young woman led him towards a counter. At the same time, at the opposite counter, there was a black-haired old man wearing a leopard skin. He was looking at the elixirs on the counter, but his gaze would occasionally glance at Qin Feiyong. Wolf King had been looking for Ding Ming the whole time and also saw the black-clothed old man. At first it didn't care, but soon it realized that something was wrong, because Ding Ming's scent was coming from the black-clothed old man. "So it's you. You're tuning in to the Li Mei Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure."